the meeting are available on www.livingstonNJ.org. Certain portions of this meeting may be closed to the public for the purposes of personnel and/or other matters as outlined in the Sunshine Law. Decisions made and/or discussed in closed session will be made known to the public at a later time. Notice to the members of the governing body and township staff. Any use of electronic devices during this meeting shall be used solely for the purpose of township business, and any communications are subject to the Open Public Records Act. To the extent possible, this evening's Township of Livingston Council meeting will be live streamed via Facebook at www.facebook.com/LivingstonTownshipNJ. Questions or comments, email to livcomments@livingstonNJ.org by 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Each speaker should follow the rules of order in Livingston Code Section 2-15. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Council members Meinhardt.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Begoli. Here. Deputy Mayor Anthony.
Here.
Mayor Vieira.
Present. So will everybody please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilwoman Begoli, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Is Eileen Fishman here today? I don't see Eileen Fishman. Okay, that's the Essex County updates. There are no proclamations or presentations for consideration at tonight's meeting. So may I have a motion to approve the minutes pending any corrections? We have the regular and conference meeting minutes of November 13th, 2023, and we also have the closed session minutes from November 13th, 2023. May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes pending corrections?
Second.
It's been moved and it's been seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. So before I ask to open the public comments on agenda items only, Mr. Cantor, Mr. Lewis, we had a closed session earlier. Can you just explain the reason why we went into closed session?
Good evening, Mayor. We went into closed session to discuss fair share housing litigation, specifically the 45 South Livingston Avenue.
Okay, thank you. So also, before we open the public comments on agenda items only, can I ask anybody who has to say anything about 45 South Livingston Avenue, if you could just please hold your comments until we open the public hearing, which will take place just a couple minutes after the agenda items. Also, I just want to make note that after the comments on agenda items, Councilman Klein will recuse himself and leave the meeting for the rest of the meeting. So may I have a motion to open the public portion on agenda items only? May I have a second? All in favor? Okay. At this time, the meeting is now open for agenda items only. There's a 4-minute time limit per person. So if you want to make any comments about the agenda items only, just please come up to the microphone and just give us your name for the record. Okay, thank you. Well, Madam Clerk, hold on. Is there any comments for agenda items only?
No, Mayor.
Okay, so hearing no more comments, now may I have a motion in a second? May I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Tonight, just moving a little bit out of order, we do not have any ordinances for introduction. So we do have a final ordinance. So, Madam Clerk, can you please read ordinance number 19-2023 by title?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance 19-2023, adopting the 45 South Livingston Avenue District Redevelopment Plan pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law.
Thank you. So before I ask for a motion to open a public hearing on ordinance 19-2023, Mr. Lewis, do you have any comments? Or can you repeat what was said at the last meeting regarding changes made to this project?
Yeah.
And also, Barry, after the last meeting, there was a request to send the ordinance back to the planning board. Can you explain why it was sent back to the planning board?
Yes, Mayor. So as mentioned at the last meeting first, so anybody in the audience who wasn't here, the changes, the original ordinance as originally introduced had 240 market rate units. that had been then reduced to 210. The 210 market rates then had a corresponding reduction in the affordable housing off-site special needs to 32. The amendment last time also increased, the reduction in the number of units allowed the developer to lower the number of parking spaces, which in turn allowed them to eliminate the back row parking adjacent to Sherbrooke, which then increased the buffer on the property line from Sherbrooke to the properties on Sherbrooke to parking from 10 feet, it increased to 28 feet. Also pushed the building further back, which the previous ordinance had allowed the building to be stepped down only at the top floor within 50 feet of the property lines, and then with a 20-foot step back, it could go to the maximum height. The amendment then pushed that back to be, instead of 50 feet from the rear property line, to 80 feet from the rear property line, with a height limit of 30 feet for that first section instead of what would have been about 48 with only the top floor gone, and then goes back another 20 feet to 100 feet to get to the maximum height. Those were the substantive changes. At the last meeting, there was a question. We had received legal opinion that it did not need to be referred to the planning board because the changes were reductions in impact, but nevertheless, because just out of an abundance of caution, we sent it again to the planning board. The planning board did review it, and essentially for the same reasons that they found it consistent with the master plan, they found the now reduced ordinance to be consistent with the master plan. So it is now back here tonight for public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. So what we're going to do is, at this point, when I open the public hearing, I'd like our town clerk, with the assistance of our assistant town manager, to read the comments that were emailed to Live Comments for 45 South Livingston Avenue. So may I have a motion to open the public hearing? May I have a second? All in favor? Aye. So the public hearing on ordinance number 19-2023 is now opened. There's a 3-minute time limit per person. Carolyn.
Thank you, Mayor. We received a comment, Livingston Community Against 45 South Livingston Redevelopment Plan, and I do want to mention these are all read in the date and time that they are received. It reads, and it's also a carbon copy email that we received from 33 other members of the community. It says, "Dear members of the Township Council, I'm writing to express my frustration and anger regarding this week's Town Council agenda item for the introduction of ordinance 19-2023. And I'm asking that you send the proposal back to the developers because it does not meet the goals of the township's master plan or the designated redevelopment plan. For months, the citizens of Livingston have expressed their concerns regarding the overdevelopment of Livingston in general, overcrowding of schools, increased demands in infrastructure, as well as the changes in the character of downtown Livingston and the congestion that the luxury apartment complex proposal for 45 South Livingston Avenue will bring. Ignoring the concerns of the citizens, the proposal you plan to introduce is for 210 luxury apartments, 32 affordable units, and a 60-foot structure. This means that virtually nothing has changed since we have been expressing our concerns. The height for the project far exceeds the norm for commercial spaces on Livingston Avenue, 28 feet, and is even higher than the townhomes at Town Center, 55 feet, which most in Livingston feel was a mistake. In addition, this proposal is at the maximum density of anywhere in Livingston, 35 units per acre, and far higher than any property along Livingston Ave. For these reasons, we ask that you do not introduce ordinance 19-2023 at the Town Council meeting and request that developers create a new proposal that reflects the citizens' concerns and preserves the character of Livingston's downtown." That was from Hamangi Deshpanad, and we received 33 other, I'm not going to read out their names just to save some time, but 33 other exact emails from community members. Then we received that same email with 2 added lines from Sachin Gandhi. That same email, he added at the end, "This initiative in no way will help the town and the people. Instead, please focus on weak infrastructure. Roads are filled with potholes and security issues." We also received that same email from Rob Kuntz, who adds at the end of that same email, "For all intents and purposes, why can't something like this development be relocated to the lot that has been empty on Route 10 for the last 15 years, the former Lexus dealership property?" Adam?
This email is from Vinod Menon from 51 Morningside Drive. Dear members of the Town Council, please reconsider the redevelopment plan for the following reasons. 1. Livingston schools are already finding it very difficult to cope with the sudden influx of young families into town. 2. The introduction of a new apartment complex at such close proximity to the existing one close to town center is going to create traffic nightmares. 3. The location of the proposed complex is on the curved section of Livingston Avenue, which will make egress from there very dangerous. Please don't add a new signal there. 4. This will dilute the assessment of property value of many neighboring residences. 5. There seems to be a lot of opposition to this proposal in town. Kindly request you to reconsider this proposal and help preserve the faith entrusted in you. Thanking you sincerely, Vinod Menon.
I received 2 emails that were subject line, vote against introducing ordinance 19-2023, one from Gail Schrimmer, PhD, and the other one from Eric Ewald, MD, and there was no subject matter of the email.
This one is titled Bottle King Project. This is from Jeffrey Collin, 12 Stoneham Drive. To the committee. As a lifelong resident of Livingston, it would be nice to have the opportunity to stay in Livingston after my family is out of the house and rent a nice apartment. Moreover, having the ability for my apartment to be walking distance to restaurants, shopping, and other town-owned establishments would be a plus. Lastly, with the location being on the community coach 77 to New York City, access to the city would be easy. Please pass the ordinance. It would be great for our community. Thank you, Jeffrey.
I received another one from Parmi Chima, vote against introducing ordinance 19-2023. Says, stop overcrowding our town. We don't need any more massive housing complexes.
Titled, please read at the next town council, Bottle King Development. This is from Greer Gelman Lapson. Dear Town Council, I am writing this letter in support of the development at the Bottle King property in Livingston. Since moving to Livingston in the 1970s, we have always been pleased with the community. The one thing I have heard people say for as long as I can remember is that they wished we had more walkable town and many shops, restaurants, and options for living. I have witnessed many changes throughout the years and have seen many businesses come and go. We have many storefronts empty due to high property and rental prices, and many outstanding businesses have been forced to move elsewhere to survive. Building a new community on this property will fill a huge empty space and hopefully encourage businesses to once again take a chance on our town. As I drive through the neighboring communities, I admire their town centers filled with families walking from their homes to grab a cup of coffee or a bite to eat with an opportunity to shop along the way. I feel this development will provide just this. In addition, this development provides reasonable opportunities for many people to live in town. Many young people who grew up in town would love to move back to Livingston and are not ready and able to afford a house. For example, I have been teaching in town for almost 27 years, and during this time continued to support the community both monetarily by dining and shopping in town and recreationally by volunteering for multiple community events. It wasn't until rental properties such as this were built that I was able to actually reside in town. I spent many years in neighboring towns with reasonable rental options. As a hardworking and dedicated community member, it was nice to be able to actually come back home to live. This development is a chance for young couples to move into town before beginning a family and then choose to buy a house and remain in town long term. In addition, couples who spent 30 to 40 years raising their families in Livingston are now able to remain in town while downsizing to a more appropriate fit for their lifestyles. I have confidence that this reputable builder and business owners behind this plan have the best interests of our community as a whole and have well thought out and resolved any possible issues before moving forward. I feel this development will be viable, attractive, and effective addition, and I'm hopeful it will enhance our already wonderful community. Sincerely, Greer, Gelman, Lepson.
Comment from Marianne Bohannon. I've been in this town my life. I am 82, so lots of change, but now I can really say the legacy of this board go down as the one that destroyed the town. If you approve this project, destroy school, police, and fire departments, and that's not even talking in traffic center on Livingston Avenue. Thanks.
Comment from Jamie Zales at 90 Sycamore Avenue. Please read at the next town council meeting. Dear Livingston Town Council, I'm writing to express my wholehearted support for the Bottle King project. The proposed addition of apartments and retail shops has the potential to elevate Livingston to new heights, fostering positive economic growth and attracting valuable commerce to our community. I believe in the project's ability to enhance our town's vibrancy and bring about a positive impact. It's critical to consider the broader perspective rather than the views of a limited number of individuals who claim to represent the town. I firmly disagree with the sentiment expressed by a small group, as I believe the Bottle King project aligns with the best interests of Livingston. Let's focus on the opportunities it presents for increased shopping options and economic prosperity. Thank you for your time and consideration. Jamie Zales.
Email from Stephen Plotnick, 45 South Livingston Avenue District Redevelopment Plan. Dear members of the Township Council, I am writing to you ahead of the meeting scheduled for this coming Monday, November 27th, to express my support for the amended 45 South Livingston Avenue District Redevelopment Plan. Please feel free to read this note aloud at the meeting. I've been a resident of Livingston for about 17 years, and I followed the discourse in relation to this project for several months. I appreciate many of the concerns that have been raised, but feel constrained to write to the council because it seems as though the voices of dissent have been elevated above those of us who support the project. As I have followed the evolution of the redevelopment plan, I have seen a great deal of compromise from the builder. There are far less units than originally proposed, with reductions in height, increased setbacks, and improvements to traffic patterns. All of this reflects, to me, the builder's good faith, desire to partner and work with the community, which I certainly appreciate. It's unrealistic to expect that the area will remain static, and in my view, that entire strip has become more of an eyesore in recent years with all the vacant space that would need to be updated under any set of circumstances. Modernizing the area based on the designs I have seen would seem to be a long-term benefit to the entire town. In fact, I hope this project spurs additional modernization along the rest of Livingston Ave, which is very much needed and a sign of progress, growth, and prosperity. I also have to assume that once completed, the project will generate significant revenue for the town, which certainly stands to benefit all. I have heard many of the voices in opposition to the project raise concerns with respect to the schools, utilities, and services within the town. But aside from raising taxes on residents, how else can we expect to improve all of that other than by generating additional revenue? I recognize there are some drawbacks, but to me they are far outweighed by the many benefits this project will bring to the community in the long run. Change to the town is inevitable, and at the bottom I support this project because we cannot expect to grow as a community by remaining where we are. I think this project is a step in the direction of ensuring that we remain a healthy, vibrant community that is adapting to the times and moving forward to the benefit of the future.
This email is from Chris Peacock at 52 East Drive. This email should be read at the Livingston Town Council meeting November 27, 2023. Livingston Town Council, I hope this email finds you well. I want to bring the project proposed at 45 South Livingston Avenue to your attention. It is currently under review. I strongly believe that passing this project would greatly contribute to the betterment of Livingston. By implementing this project, we can significantly impact our residents' lives, create a more vibrant downtown, and give people who want to downsize and stay in Livingston a place to live in town within walking distance of the shops. Please review the project proposal and consider supporting its passage carefully. If you have any questions or need more information, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you for your consideration and your time and consideration. Chris Peacock.
The next email is from Helen Chung. My name is Helen from Washington Cleaners and 45 South Livingston Avenue. We are closing our business permanently on November 30th, 2023, after 23 years of same business on the same location. I'm writing to appeal to the town to approve the redevelopment project for 45 South Livingston Avenue ASAP. I have told Mr. Friedman, my landlord, for over a decade that my business was suffering because there were too many other dry cleaners in town and not enough people nearby my store. Mr. Friedman always tried to help me by lowering my rent and also gave me free base rent during COVID. I decided to close my dry cleaning business because even with free base rent, I could not make any profit. Also, I get scared when it starts to get dark outside because all my next door businesses are empty. The building has been empty too long. The area can cause crime if you leave the empty building too long. Livingston needs more commercial space with people nearby who can walk to come by. I've had a very good relationship with Andrew, and I'm ready to support him in this project. I think that it will be beneficial for the town and residents because also the town can collect more tax revenue, and the project will upgrade the lifestyle of the business and Livingston residents. I would like to come back if this apartment building is built. Thank you.
This is from Jason Shetler from Thames Drive. Please read at the 27th, or November 27th council meeting. Dear Town Council and fellow residents, I'd like to start by saying I'm sorry I can't be there in person and appreciate you reading this on my behalf. As a resident of New Jersey, most of my life and in Livingston for the last 8 years, I feel I have the right to speak up. In my view, cities need to evolve with the times. I have seen this personally in the town I grew up in, which did not evolve. If they don't, places like Livingston will lose residents to neighboring towns that do evolve. Maybe for some, this doesn't seem like a popular stance, but for people I know, many think this could be exactly what we need. Quite honestly, this project would be an improvement over what we currently have in this space. From what I see, we have members from our own community trying to develop something which would improve our town and the business climate in Livingston. My view is there is clearly a benefit to have someone who cares about Livingston's building rather than some outside developer never to be seen again. Additionally, we have laws and guidelines we live by, and this project, although maybe not perfect, to me seems to abide by our laws and guidelines. We do live in a capitalistic society, last I looked. This town needs an upgrade and improved place to spend time. I've seen many towns build similar projects with retail and apartments which help revitalize downtown area, and this area certainly needs improvement. Lastly, I would like to say I'm quite shocked at the way this entire process has gone. I personally know numerous people as well as numerous business owners who favor this project who are scared to speak up due to what they feel will be a negative repercussions from some of the community. Is this true? That someone posted the personal address of people involved? I certainly hope not. Maybe I heard this wrong. Anyway, from what I see, this is a thoughtful plan that would help our town, and I don't see why people seem to be looking only at the perceived downsides rather than the upside. Thank you, respectfully, Jason Scheller.
This email is from Ari Strulson, resident, support for the redevelopment of 45 South Livingston Avenue. Dear members of the Livingston Town Council, I was hopeful to attend the meeting tomorrow evening, but unfortunately my uncle passed away and his funeral is tomorrow. I will still try to make the meeting, but wanted to be sure that my thoughts were shared. I'm writing to you not just as a resident of Livingston, but also as a father of 4 deeply invested in the future of our town. My family and I reside on Chadwick Place, which we proudly call home. I've been closely following the discussions around the redevelopment of 45 South Livingston Ave and wish to express my support for the current proposal to develop a luxury apartment complex. As a parent and an active member of our community, I believe this project aligns well with the needs and aspirations of our town. The alternative of introducing a supermarket or similar high-traffic retail space is concerning, particularly when considering the traffic and congestion challenges we witness at ShopRite. A luxury apartment complex catering to empty nesters, young professionals, or divorcees presents a less daunting prospect. It promises to bring vitality to our town without the significant traffic and congestion issues associated with large retail outlets. Moreover, this project is the culmination of years of collaboration between the developer and our town officials. It represents a thoughtful approach to urban development, one that brings new shops and invigorates our existing commercial spaces by attracting more residents who will shop and dine locally. I also want to emphasize the importance of evolution and progress in our town. For Livingston to continue thriving, we must embrace change and growth, and this redevelopment project is a step in that direction. This area of Livingston needs it. In closing, I applaud the efforts of the Town Council in steering this project to its current promising state. I urge you to continue supporting this redevelopment, seeing it as an opportunity to enhance the quality of life in Livingston while respecting the town's character and needs. Sincerely, Ari Strulson.
Alpert J., letter to Town Council, November 27, 2023. Justin Etcher Alpert, 56 Elmhurst Place. Dear Mr. Mayor, upon reflection, perhaps what is most disappointing about this second reading of Ordinance 19-2023, adopting a 45 South Livingston Avenue District Redevelopment Plan, is how this dais took a matter of open public concern and open conversation and went behind closed doors to settle it. Our own town manager was then turned against us to dictate a final position that made zero common sense. We've undermined the very purpose of this construction by moving affordable units off-site. We've undermined the values of our community with this private swimming pool, and there's still absolutely zero accountability. The entire dais, save for the one councilman who properly recuses himself, made a series of clear mistakes and is now overextended on its authority. By the way, Mr. Mayor, it is totally irrational to continue to act out as an abject sense of fear itself that the developer would run to the courts, our justice system, only to further take clear advantage of our Livingston community. With stronger counsel, rest assured the courts will inevitably concur that it is time to responsibly develop and impose new systematic accountability protocols. It is time to exercise responsible control as a community, Mr. Mayor. Now, during the Vieira administration, the developer can play a vital, important role in that process, but the public has to be involved. The public certainly cannot have its own counsel working against them. You would agree? Yes, Mr. Mayor? The only thing standing between the skilled and educated, active and engaged members of this Livingston community taking a smarter approach to healthy community growth and development here in Livingston are the four discerning members of this honorable council. Come back to us, we, the people of Livingston. Vote down this sad second reading and restore the proper public conversation that was being had between the developer and the electorate, whom the council has been sworn to represent and serve. Do it for the public good. Shouldn't even have to ask, please. Mr. Mayor, everybody sees that the process is fundamentally broken. It has been this way for a long time. We spent too many years negotiating away rather ridiculous positions behind closed doors. Now, during the Vieira administration, it is clearly time to lead and take a stand. It only takes two of you to stop this silliness and pivot in a new direction. We can build a new common sense with a broad political backing, opportunity for real leadership, better account for the many rich investments that we have chosen to make in a vibrant, healthy, attractive, affordable, sustainable, growing, entrepreneurial Livingston community.
Time.
This is from James Bird, a non-resident, but president of Citizens Improving Affordable Housing. Dear council members, in 1985, the Council on Affordable Housing, also known as COA, in New Jersey created the builder's remedy. It said that if a municipality did not meet the COA requirements for the number of affordable housing units, then a developer could then build 20% of affordable housing units and 80% market value units. The agreement did not require the developer to have any financial requirement for a massive increase in the public school system, the teachers and administrators, the upkeep of the facilities, and the increase in the police force. That all falls on the shoulders of the tax-paying citizens in the municipality. The other important factor is that the zoning of the municipality is tossed by the wayside. This is happening in Livingston and throughout all of New Jersey. I strongly suggest that you, the council, take the time to reevaluate this issue with the overdevelopment of the old Bottle King property. Look at the way to have the existing property be renovated to become affordable housing for those who want to be retired in their home of Livingston, as well as giving others with low incomes the chance to raise their families in this community. Yes, it is easy to apply the builder's remedy in this case, but think of the property tax increase that will take place in everyone's wallet in this town. Is that what elected officials such as yourself really want to do to the people who elected them into this community? Please let everyone know what you plan on doing in Livingston and to the people paying property tax in this community. Sincerely, James Byrd.
For 11:27 meeting, thank you. This is from Lisa Cook Bear. Good evening, esteemed members of the Livingston Town Council. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your ongoing volunteer service to the community. While the proposed construction projects have taken the forefront, I know that there is a lot else that happens behind the scenes to make your commitment to the town and your constituents, I hope, worth your efforts. Personally, I am a board member for a 50,000-plus nonprofit organization, so I understand the commitment and responsibility involved. Second, I want to let you know that I have lived in town for almost 30 years, but my nexus to Livingston started back in high school when I met and eventually married my high school boyfriend from Livingston. I have perhaps lived in town longer than any other member of the current town council. My husband definitely has. I've seen a lot of changes in town as well as at least 7 iterations of the current town council. While I'm a licensed New Jersey attorney, my area of expertise is not in an area of municipal law. To that end, I apologize in advance if my terminology or understanding of the process is incorrect. That said, I have several comments, a few questions, and 2 actionable proposals. 1, there seems to be an overall feeling in town among your constituents that members of the town council are appearing to be conflicted with respect to some of the proposed construction projects in town. Specifically, I'm referring here to the project slated for 45 South Livingston Avenue. For example, one member of the council has recused himself. Members of the council have routinely chided residents who courageously spoke up against the proposed building, specifically at the old Bottle King site. I've attended in person or watched live streams of most of the meetings over the past month and have seen these actions myself. When the proposed builders for the Bottle King site amended for information session for the residents, they were invited to sit with the town council, town attorney, and town manager. This created an us versus them appearance, additionally demonstrated by a member of the council reprimanding the public on their expected behavior during this information session. To be clear, the builders were not there on their own time out of the goodness of their hearts. However, the township residents who came to speak up and ask questions were. Proposal number 1. Table the vote tonight and create a township committee to review and offer comment to the council on the proposed Bottle King project. Said committee should have representation from the town council, ideally the mayor as well as, if possible, the town manager. Members of the committee should be persons with experience in the field of commercial building, municipal law, traffic professionals may have. Personally, I was on the committee that was established in...
Time.
Email from Ross and Naomi Sandler, residents. To whom it may concern, my name is Ross Sandler. My wife, Naomi, and I are writing in support of the proposed downtown redevelopment at the old Bottle King site. We have 2 young kids and plan to be in Livingston for many years to come. We love this proposed development as the existing town center serves little purpose. It has only one attractive tenant, 16 handles, and what it does have doesn't usually stay very long. I'd be more concerned about a large shopping center, which the town has said the developer can build, and they couldn't stop. Please approve this project. Thank you. You done?
I'm out.
Okay, we are done. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, Adam. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing. For anybody in the audience, I would like to ask you to respect the 3-minute time limit, and I would also ask if you could hold your applause or boos or whatever you want to say or do, so you respect everyone. So just when you come up to the microphone, just please give us your name for the record.
No.
No. No. Hi, Beth? Hi, Beth.
Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Lippman. I'm Executive Director of the Business Improvement District in town, and I'm here to read a statement from the Business Improvement District Board. The BID's policy is not to endorse any single project going on. However, I'm here to read the following statement from the BID Board regarding what research shows is a future look for a thriving suburban business district. As long as I have been with the BID, Livingston residents have been asking for a downtown. What is a downtown? Downtown is the area of a town that's the busiest with the most shops, restaurants, buildings, and pedestrians, and is an area that's shared by everyone. There are many benefits of mixed-use development to a business district. It can enhance the livability and walkability of an area by providing a mix of housing, employment services, and amenities within a short distance of each other. It will provide more opportunities for our existing retail and commercial businesses and make our commercial spaces more desirable to businesses that are looking to locate or relocate in the area. Data shows that strong commercial districts are a major stimulator for economic growth and a key revenue generator for local government. In most cases, commercial districts serve as the engine for local economies. Our business district is aging. The smart growth answer to this is to strategically reposition our older uses into suburban mixed-use projects that recreate downtown amenities, yet are close to the single-family homes that millennials now prefer. It is the millennials and Gen Zers that are leaving cities to find opportunity in Livingston, and they're bringing their preference for metropolitan lifestyles with them. There is a growing demand for a stronger sense of place in our suburban environment. New residents favor a walkable Main Street experience. As suburban locales become increasingly racially, culturally, and economically diverse, many new and existing residents are seeking a greater diversity of housing options, like townhouses and apartments. It is important to provide new options for young professionals and people looking to downsize, yet want to continue to live independently as they age. Both want to be able to continue to live within our community. As America's suburbs are becoming more diverse and more populated, they are facing a future that will look far different from their idolized past. Data shows that suburbs are here to stay, but that increasingly they will take a more walkable, somewhat less auto-dependent form. This should be a guide to what specific policies our leaders need to consider to keep our town competitive and relevant in the future. Research has shown that successful business districts have a sense of place. Creating this sense of place impacts economics as more people downtown results in improved business activity, increased property values, and an expanded local tax base.
Thank you, Beth.
Hi, good evening. Carrie Lushin, 18 Fordham. I am reading this letter on behalf of a friend who would like to remain anonymous. I am a business owner and resident of Livingston for over 5 decades. I have been such a proud resident of this town for so long. I wanted to come in and proudly speak up in support of this project. However, I am so sad to say that I feel intimidated by the behavior of a few of the people who have opposed the redevelopment in such a dishonest and mean way on social media and at the town meetings. As a result, I feel like I have to write an anonymous letter to avoid an organized effort to do damage to my business as they have done here. I'm happy to identify myself to the town in private if I could be assured there will be no public disclosure or retaliation. I'm hoping you will read this letter at the next meeting on November 27th. My business suffered greatly during the pandemic. It would benefit a lot from a walkable downtown where people can come by more frequently to my business and help it recover. I've watched other towns that surround Livingston change with the times by creating downtown areas, but Livingston has lagged behind. This project would be great. The town tried to create a downtown a few decades ago when they approved town center. I don't think that worked well. They keep losing tenants and nobody seems to go there. I'm not an expert and can't say why, but what I hear from my customers and other residents in town is that a town center doesn't work without lots of people walking around. We need to create foot traffic to bring in fun and interesting new businesses. If that is true, then I don't understand why these apartments wouldn't be great. They would bring people who could walk from their apartments to town center or my business or the many other businesses in town. That would be terrific and a huge help for me and my business. Walking to stores would be very important for me. Without that ability, I might have to consider moving to another town, which would not be something I'd want. Like I said, I'm a big supporter of this project and desperately hope the town approves it. Thank you.
Thank you. Name for the record?
My name is my name is Ray Siegel. Do I have to give address? Garnet Terrace.
No, you're fine. Just
Okay. I want to thank you all for your serving the community up there. And in listening to those letters, first thing I want to rebut that I was here for all the town meetings, all the town council meetings, all the zoning board meetings for the town center, and I heard a lot of the exact same rationales. That was going to solve, that was going to be the town center, that was going to make things walkable, that was going to solve our walkability problem and make a business district. One of the problems with the town center is it's the rents are very expensive and no stores stay there. And if we redevelop this so-called 45 Livingston Avenue Bottle King, we're going to have very high rents and probably have the same situation where people can't afford to have their businesses be viable there. It's really not a solution. I would like you to vote no on this project. Really, let's be realistic. This is kind of like we're seeing in a Monopoly game where somebody gets 45 Livingston Avenue, the Bottle King, they get the Dunkin' Donuts property, and they get the Walgreens. So when you get 3 properties in Monopoly, then you can build hotels. So let's be realistic. This project right now is not about commercial. If it was about commercial, we have a commercial property, or we should be looking at a commercial development. The master plan calls for this to be a commercial property, not 210 luxury apartments with a pool. Those apartments are approximately to be valued, given if they were for sale, not rental, but luxury apartments in this town, approximately $1 million each. That makes this a $200 million project that we are essentially granting to this developer. So that's the real project. I urge you to vote no. The project should stay commercial. It was commercial. The rents just need to be lowered on the current property, and then businesses could be viable there. A lot of the people were kicked out of the Dunkin' Donuts building. There was no reason for that. They had signs up saying our lease was terminated. The other problems of this are the heavy water usage for 200-plus residences, the sewage needed, the risk to the residents of the community because it's across from a fire station. So really, and we need the pharmacy there, we should just lower the rents and
Thank you.
keep it commercial.
Thank
It
you.
doesn't need development.
Hi, my name is Rick Shalonik, and I'm against the project at 45 Livingston Ave. I've lived here for 30 years. It's a well-thought-out community. The project is very big. It's so big that the town council and the people involved in it are overshadowed by it. It's not about another floor on a building. It's not about water rights. It's not about a new cut-through. It's a big damn deal. And I don't think the people that are going to pass judgment on this have all the expertise that's needed. And I don't think they want to spend any money to get it. So, the master plan doesn't call for Route 10 and Livingston Ave to be congested. It doesn't call for that. It calls for a certain number of people Well, why not revitalize that area, Walgreens and the stores, and forget about the housing? We're not here to talk about housing. I don't think we need housing in that area. If the builders want to build housing, so they should buy house-ready property. But you're congesting that whole area, and who's going to benefit? I'll tell you that the builders are not going to live in those apartments, and the people that service them are not going to live in the apartments. So who's going to live there? People who work in New York City, they'll live there, and they're on the bus line. But I don't believe they're going to be walking around a great deal. They have other things to do. I know we've talked about the infrastructure, but all of those families and all of that work requires that the water district is going to have to improve themselves tremendously. That's going to fall on the taxpayers. If the schools have to build additional property to house the students, that's on the taxpayer. So if you're a taxpayer, most of us are, then you have to be aware that your taxes are going to go up, not the normal raise of a few percent that everybody suffers from, but the town of Livingston has bitten off more than it could chew. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ken Berger. I'm the CEO and Executive Director of Spectrum 360. Spectrum 360 has as its mission to provide the best services possible for people with autism so that they can lead thriving lives and be fully engaged in their communities. We currently have a high school here in Livingston that serves about 160 students, and thanks to your leadership, next year we intend to open a school for the pre-K to the 8th graders, also just a few blocks away on Route 10 off of Regent. So Spectrum 360 does not currently provide residential services. However, I have for many years. And so today I wanted to talk to you briefly about the project and how it could assist people with special needs who desperately need affordable housing. As of last year, which is the last year we have data for, over 10,000 individuals in New Jersey with special needs are on a waiting list for supportive housing. And unfortunately, the state of New Jersey a few years ago discontinued funding for capital construction for most supportive housing for people with special needs. However, the good news is that we have a developer here that has given us a very unique opportunity where the developer of this proposed housing project is offering to provide the building for affordable housing for people with special needs at no cost to the provider agency, which would typically be a nonprofit. We can therefore do our part here in Livingston to help address the crisis of scarcity of supportive housing services for people with developmental disabilities. And the type of housing that I'm talking about here seamlessly blends into the local community and can facilitate social inclusion and also reduce the stigma associated with many people with special needs. It also enables these individuals to lead more independent lives and can result in increased workforce participation, leading to greater economic productivity and tax revenue. It not only benefits the individuals themselves, but it also contributes positively in the sense that local families who are overseeing the care of individuals with special needs and can't find suitable housing options for them face a significant strain on their personal and emotional well-being. Therefore, addressing this housing crisis is not just about improving the lives of those with special needs, but also alleviating the burden on these local families. So in conclusion, I think it's imperative that we here in Livingston prioritize the development of more affordable and accessible housing options for people with special needs. And by doing so, we not only improve the lives of those with special needs, but also contribute to building a more compassionate, economically vibrant community here in Livingston. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Berger, thank you very much for what you do for the community.
Evening.
Good evening.
Margie Rieger, 190 East Northfield Road. Some of you know me from a long time ago. I debated coming tonight, coming tonight, but here I am. I wanted to make something clear, and it has to do with zoning. When I purchased my home almost 42 years ago, there were 5 zoning categories, plain and simple, but now there are many more. My home was in a one resident only zone, R3. To my surprise, the property next to me got a certificate of occupancy zone for B, for business. The town violated their own law, and I had to go to the state to have my rights validated. Cost me over $100,000, and I have been ridiculed and torn apart since then. There are no answers to inquiring questions from the townspeople. There is no transparency. And now there is rezoning done without clarifying and reasons given for these additional changes. I think we have 10 or 11 different zoning mixed and all that other stuff. How does an area deemed business and used for that purpose all of a sudden qualify for residential? We as citizens of Livingston have a right to tranquility and community. In fact, it used to be on the old board over there, posted. Let me finish with this creed as it is written. But one other thing, let me be clear. This council is negligent in not knowing what is going on in our police department, our courts, our employees' treatment. They ask no questions and give no answers. You talk about walking around Livingston. Have you tried crossing the street when they're doing 60, 80 miles an hour on Northfield at South Livingston Avenue, and you want more people to walk, and you don't enforce the laws? People aren't stopping at stop signs. People are just driving right on through. Accidents left and right. I was raised in West Orange, and I want to say something to you. This is a quote. Our mission is to protect the lives, property, and rights of all people, maintain an ethical environment of mutual respect, trust, and dignity, offer a partnership with the community. We serve and improve the quality of life for all within the township. That was West Orange. That's where I grew up. That's not Livingston.
Brian Shear, 35 Stonewall Drive. I've never heard of any of my friends from neighboring towns say they want to come to Livingston to shop or visit a restaurant. Yet, I always find myself shopping and eating in all the towns that surround us. That speaks volumes about the need for Livingston to change with the times to remain competitive. This project would provide a big boost to the town center, which hasn't been able to maintain tenants and is unappealing for residents to visit. Mixed-use projects with many apartments are popping up in every town around us for good reason. Please approve this project so Livingston can be a better town.
Thank you.
Hi, Stephen Angel, 27 Tiffany. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, who lives in Town Center. She has been a resident here for 50 years. I grew up here. I'm back here. I can't get away from here. So I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Cheryl, who's been a member of the community for 50 years. She would like to see the ordinance passed. She understands the many concerns and objections of that we've heard here today. However, like her, there are many empty nesters and retirees that are looking for options to stay in town. In addition, options without stairs and other ancillary issues and the joys that come with home ownership that we've all experienced. This project would offer her the opportunity to remain in town in a beautiful, manageable apartment that would afford her the ability within walking distance of retail shops, restaurants, and public transportation. The redevelopment plan would help to revitalize the center of our town and bring a new, fresh, progressive addition to our town. Again, I grew up here also. I've seen the many changes of this town. I came back here. I live here again. I'm raising my kids here. The town center in the middle of the town definitely needs some new life to it. The empty Bottle King space right now and the parking lot as it exists is not something that I'm sure everyone wants, to keep here. This would be a great project to help revitalize, bring new restaurants and other opportunities to the town. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Auerbach. I'm at 22 Mayhew Drive. This is my first time being to a meeting because I have 3 young kids and I can never get to them. So I wanted to start with that because if my husband hadn't rushed home today in the middle of his busy produce selling season, I wouldn't be able to come in. So
Thank
Zoom.
you.
Anyway, other than that, I'm one of the millennials that came here to the suburbs. I do love a good metropolitan area. I love a walkable downtown. I love my kids getting a good education. And right now, the town is already behind the growth that it's been getting since COVID. The school population boomed. There are now trailers set up at the schools. In an age where parents are already terrified to send their children because we don't know when the next attack is going to be on a school, we now have trailers without security set up out in fields. What does that say about our town? And the fact that I know that this is for empty nesters, and where's the transparency going to be on that if we haven't had any up to this point? And I'm just going to close by saying, how many people here have seen a child hit or almost hit at the crossing at South Livingston Avenue and West Mount Pleasant already? And that's without these additional cars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt Goldstein, 15 Wingfoot Drive. I'm standing here today in support of this project. I've seen the backlash, the Facebook post, and one too many unfair, personal, and inappropriate attacks circling this project. Those responsible for this are screaming about the additional traffic, the impact on the neighboring homes, the impact on schools, the impact on our police, fire department, and first aid. I'm standing here wondering how these people are experts in all these subject matters. Is this a case where people say things enough times and loud enough that some people confuse them as factual? I don't think so. It seems like their ideas of fact are coming from the uninformed opinions of a small group of people. The town said that another board will have to vote on this, and they will address a lot of these above items if needed. I would defer to them to resolve these issues, assuming they will be hearing from actual experts. While I am certainly no expert in the development world, I am a member of this community who truly believes that this project and ones like it are the wave of the future. Look around. Look at the neighboring towns, which are thriving hotspots filled with families who fought to live there. Don't we want to be the community that people come to for shopping and for meals? Don't we want empty nesters who are looking to downsize to either stay or come to Livingston instead of leaving for Montclair and Morristown? I know I do. My in-laws live in Wayne. We would love nothing more for them to move, downsize to Livingston. Change is okay, especially change that has taken the needs of our community into consideration, as this project has. You are talking about a project that is led by families who have lived here for generations. I personally cannot imagine that they would do anything to jeopardize the beauty, tradition, and culture of the place they have always called home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Beer. I live at 10 Sunshine Lane. I grew up in Livingston and now raised my family here. When I was looking at houses in different towns about 6 years ago, Livingston checked all the boxes except for one. There is no and never has been a great downtown area filled with restaurants and other destination retail geared towards both children and adults. Why must we leave Livingston for Milburn, Morristown, Summit, Montclair, and countless other towns that have defined and vibrant downtowns? When I see the attractive renderings for this project, I'm hopeful that it will be the catalyst for the future retail that we all desperately want. We are much better than an abandoned liquor store in the heart of town. I, for one, would love to see our streets filled with people walking from this new development site to Town Center and then down towards the Ritz, or in the other direction, from Mount Pleasant Middle School. Let's give the kids a safe and fun destination to be together after school. If this project ends up like the renderings I've seen, it can only be positive for our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Adam Brenner, 8 Hartstone Terrace. I felt compelled to speak today because clearly there's been a lot of discussion surrounding this project. And while I totally appreciate the passion, enthusiasm for those who have been most vocal in opposition of it, I would like to point out there are plenty of us, as we've all heard just now, that are on the other side of this debate. Those who support development, those who support injecting money back into the community, those who support projects that attract retailers, and finally, those who support housing opportunities for young professionals, empty nesters, and everybody in between. So many neighboring towns have embraced projects like this, so why not us? We should be flattered that our town continues to attract investments like this and welcome all the positive change that development like this brings to our community. And further, if a project like this is going to move forward, I would certainly rather see it in the hands of a family with generational ties to the community instead of a nameless, faceless organization, which is so often the case in situations like these. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt Kaplan, Mountain Ridge Drive. I'm here to speak in support of this project. I've heard a number of the objectors state that this community does not support it. I don't agree and believe it's totally normal in situations like this for objectors to be much more vocal than supporters. In my opinion, this project would be a great addition to Livingston's downtown corridor. It's an attractive project located at one of the two gateways to Livingston. It will help create a more walkable downtown, will create new retail and dining destinations to replace empty storefronts, and will bring residents who can walk from their apartments to the stores and restaurants along Livingston and Mount Pleasant Avenues instead of driving their cars and parking at their destination, as most of the town residents need to do. I also want to mention that I've been impressed by the council's ability to work with the developer to reduce the size and scale of this project to one that is appropriate for the location. I'm in the real estate business and am an attorney, and I've seen other towns resist mixed-use development. What inevitably happens is they end up getting hit with a builder's remedy lawsuit, which forces them to spend millions of taxpayer dollars only to lose and be forced to approve a maximum density development. This project is not that and will serve to improve our downtown. I urge the council to approve the plan to ensure this property won't end up in the hands of a different developer who will seek a significantly higher number of units. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Please do not give your address, okay?
Hello, my name is Jesse. This is Tamai and my other friend Sophia, and we are here on behalf of Mount Pleasant Middle School. I would like to first start by saying a few words regarding the meeting that took place on 11/13. I feel furious and I feel betrayed. First of all, thank you to Richard Diner for actually considering our opinions. Is Mr. Diner here? Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you. After 2,500 people signed a petition against this project and countless people voiced their opposition to this project, it's still up for a vote tonight. You guys are here to represent us. Putting that aside, 210 units and 35 units per acre and over 60 feet tall, that's simply unreasonable. As a young person watching this process, I'm really disappointed and ashamed of what my town has come to. I wish people would listen to us. We're the future of this town. Now, I have to face a 60-foot monstrosity practically in my backyard until I'm 18 and move out. This brings me to my next point. I've spoken in front of the board 4 times and always talking about the same things: sidewalk and streets, safety for pedestrians, and streets free of speeding cars. All this time, I've been patient, and I've been told by countless people that this takes time. Well, my mom and I have done some research and found the master plan document. That document, which was published in 2018, has a whole section on town-wide concerns. More than 1,300 people participated in a survey, and the results were unsurprising. It reads, and I quote, "Residents and local business people expressed concern about traffic and potential commercial overdevelopment," which is pretty much the definition of this. Residents continue to feel that there's too much traffic in general, and especially along Livingston Avenue, Mount Pleasant Avenue, and South Orange Avenue in particular. The volumes of traffic on those main roads, particularly Livingston Avenue, were felt to presume problems for motorists entering or leaving side streets and parking lot driveways. Concerns were expressed regarding general congestion, traffic signals, and pedestrian and bicycle safety. So I have a burning question that I believe all of my fellow Livingstonites would like to ask. Is this what you believe is good for the town? Anyone? I request an answer. Would anyone like to answer that? Thank you for your time.
It is unacceptable that the proposed apartment complex will bring unnecessary traffic to Livingston Avenue. This complex will clearly not be used for commercial use. A pool and luxury apartments, how is any of that actually commercial use? The impact of any new development on the surrounding area, including traffic flow and safety for pedestrians and motorists, must be thoroughly considered. I demand to the planning board and local officials to take immediate action and address this issue and find solutions that mitigate. Mitigate the impact on traffic. It is imperative to carefully evaluate the proposed developments on the neighboring environments. Erecting a 210-unit apartment complex on a mere 7 acres of land is unacceptable and likely to result in our schools overcrowding. We are not against change, but this is unacceptable. As a concerned resident of this town, I implore the planning board and local officials to prioritize the welfare of the community over the developer's interest. They might take prompt action to tackle this problem and devise measurements to alleviate the impact on traffic flow and ensure the safety of pedestrians and some call the vacancies on 45 South Livingston Avenue and eyesore. Let's be honest. Wouldn't a 60-foot monstrosity be more of an eyesore? It's time to take responsibility for your actions. Before proceeding with such a monstrosity that can ruin our town, you need to think you would need to consider the impact it will have. So I urge you to think about the consequences of your actions and make a responsible decision. Like, even in our schools, we've had overcrowding already. Like, we actually had overcrowding in our schools. It's whatever.
I don't want to do this. The proposed 20-unit apartment complex on 210-unit apartment complex on 7 acres of land is completely unacceptable. As an 11-year-old, I refuse to stay silent about this overdevelopment. It is outrageous to see the town prioritize such a project while basic amenities like sidewalks remain run down and poorly maintained. Our town has become an unsafe area for pedestrians. Being a resident of this town, I have experienced firsthand the poorly conditioned sidewalks and the lack of sidewalks on many busy streets. It is unacceptable that the town cannot even provide its residents with basic necessities, yet they are willing to take on a massive project like this. The town must prioritize the needs of its residents and address the existing issues before taking on new projects. It is time for the town officials to take immediate actions and find solutions to mitigate the impact on traffic flow and ensure the safety of pedestrians and motorists. The welfare of the community must be prioritized over the developer's interests. Also, if there's vacancies in those stores, what makes you think that there won't be vacancies when the eyesore is implemented? The town officials must take responsibility for their actions and make responsible decisions. Sorry, I would just like to add one more thing. Excuse me?
Your time was up.
Fair to go after the kids. I'm Lisa Bayer. I just want to finish the email that I sent in. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to be here tonight.
Excuse me, Mayor. There was a letter that was written by Ms. Barrett, which ran to the 3-minute limit.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah. So technically, you did speak tonight.
Oh, so I can't?
No.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Jason Finkelstein, 12 Rumson Road. Apologies in advance if any of my points have already been expressed While I did not grow up here, I'm thrilled to get to raise my children in Livingston. What I'm most proud of when I drive around, what I point out to family and friends when they visit, which just happened over this past weekend, is the high school, the lower school buildings, the municipal buildings, the firehouse, the hospital. But what I'm constantly asked immediately is, where's your downtown like Morristown, Summit, Chatham, Milburn, Westfield? And I never have an explanation for this, but let's be real. We are competing with these towns. This site offers the town a rare chance to bolster a non-existent downtown and a failed town center. Yes, failed. 7-Eleven, Anthony Coal Fire, Baumgart's, all gone. When Omaha Steaks is the anchor, there's an issue. For this plan, they're talking about 7 acres in the middle of the town. Show me examples of where that exists in most suburban towns. And as we have heard, the town center doesn't work simply because there's no pedestrian traffic. I believe these proposed apartments could fix that immediately. And to be honest, I'm not certain Livingston will have this chance again. In addition, it seems to me from the plan that most of the existing tree line will remain, which is important to I know many, including myself. Therefore, to not pursue this project would be a shame. Yes, there will be an economic benefit to the builders, but more importantly, to the residents of this town as well. Please approve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Maria Pineda da Silva. I'm a resident. I'm a contractor. I'm a real estate investor, and I should be supporting this, but I'm not because I know I've seen it. I was raised in New York City and lived in Newark for many years, and decided to move to Livingston because I wanted a better standard of living. And I'm sure the majority, which are behind me, want the same thing. We're not so concerned about the town center. We could do without the town center, okay? What we cannot do with all these new people who are moving in. And I hate to sound insensitive about affordable housing and handicapped. Yeah, I feel bad, yes. But there's gonna be more people that are gonna be coming into this community, and I don't think they're not gonna be able to afford the high prices. You know, they could rent out rooms or whatever, but we're gonna have a change here. And it's not gonna be good for anybody here. And as you all sit here unfazed by what each one of us are saying, because I've been observing all of you, I don't think you really care, honestly. I hope you live long enough to see what the it's necessary, yeah. It's the consequences of what your decisions are gonna make, okay? And I hope you learn from what has happened to Newark and New York City, okay?
Hi, Andy Muser, 67 Wingfoot. I apologize, I don't like speaking in front of people. I first would like to thank all of you for your time, for your effort, and for the care you give our community. I grew up in Livingston and moved back as a young adult to raise my family. I love Livingston, but I've always felt we were missing a downtown-type destination. So I'm excited about the potential of this project. I understand and appreciate the tradition of the town, but I'm also tired of looking at the eyesore that currently exists, and I'm tired of seeing so many empty storefronts on Livingston Avenue, a road that has no aesthetics and no character. Throughout my life, I've seen Livingston residents, including myself, support businesses in all the surrounding downtowns because of the enjoyable experience they provide. I would like to see that here. I would like to see a vibrant Livingston Avenue that allows businesses to succeed and prosper. And this project would be the start of that. I also think this would be a great option for Livingston residents who are ready to downsize but not leave town. Most of the apartment and townhouse complexes in town are not within walking distance of anything. These apartments would allow for that, giving residents easy access to restaurants and shops without getting in a car. I respect all the valid concerns that have been expressed, but believe that there are compromises on both sides that can lead to a downtown Livingston that we can all enjoy and all be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles Rubin. In a prior council meeting, a number of students stated cafeteria was so overcrowded they were forced to eat lunch on the gym floor. With the influx of more students, how do you expect this situation to get better instead of worse? With all the two-bedroom apartments in this new development, you can disregard the findings that there will only be an increase of 13 students as a result of this development. You'll probably say this is something to be addressed by the Board of Education, but this is your problem too, because it's the problem with the new development. Also, what is the status of the Valley National Bank? In a prior council meeting, Mr. Lewis stated that it was staying. I'd like that to be reconfirmed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Debbie Rosenthal, Skids, One Locust Place. Charles, actually, thank you for what you just said, because that was exactly what I was going to say. I'm against the development of the building of this development, mainly because of the schools. They're extremely overcrowded. My daughter's in middle school, and she's one of the ones that eat on the floor. So my question to you is, if this is passed, what is your plan to expand the schools? I live, where I live on Locust Place, there's a lot of houses that are being knocked down, and the people that were living there were older, moved out of town. Now we're getting families with, 3, 4 children in them. So, if you're building all these units, and I know they're supposed to be going, you're, I guess, marketing more towards the older demographic or young professionals, but we can't obviously assume that that's the only people that are moving in. So I'd just like to know, if this is passed, what are you going to do to expand the schools? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Susan Park, 44 East Drive. I do not live near the 45 South Livingston Avenue, and I'm not in real estate. I just came up here in response to some of the comments for the proposed building. So I commute back and forth from New York City to work, and I've done that for the last 20 years or so, but I moved to Livingston, like so many other people here, for the schools. So what I've heard is that people would love to see a downtown area, such as in Montclair, Summit, and Milburn. But Livingston doesn't have a train, so we'll never be a town downtown. Anyone who is I'm sorry. So there's just no way that that's really going to happen. I mean, it's just an unrealistic goal. And I would caution that some of the examples, like Montclair, has overdeveloped. And that is, I'm for progress, I'm for evolution in a rational, methodical, and well-thought-out manner. But look at what happened to Montclair and the state of the schools due to overdevelopment and non-investment in the infrastructure. And so we need to make sure that we are developing in a rational manner. And the fact is that this 210 residential area is inconsistent with any of the other buildings in the surrounding areas, much denser. So that is going to be the precedent for other buildings going forward. And are we sure that we have the infrastructure in place? And then I also wanted to make sure that I understood the special needs housing, this affordable housing, which I do think is a great thing that, would potentially be, I just don't know, do we have any information on it? I have not seen anything at all. And I would love, and I think a lot of people in the community might, that is one of the benefits potentially, but I have not seen anything, not a plan or, where is it going to be? Because the person who was here before said it was going to be part of the community, but my assumption from what I've heard is that it's actually going to be separate from the 210 residential housing units. So it's not going to be part of the community or inclusive within the community. And another example that was brought up was Summit. And I'd like to note that Summit was also currently undergoing, evaluating development next to the YMCA. And they are actively engaging with the town members. So, and they're actually seeking out people to form in the committee. Because it has raised such, there's been so much people against that development. And I think that's something that we should consider as well. I mean, I know it's probably too late, but something in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. First, I would like to say thank you all for your diligence in the job that you do for the town. My name is India Sweetney. And I'm relatively new to the town. I just celebrated 2 years, and I can say one of the things that brought me to this town was coming and driving down Main Street in South Livingston. And I thought it was so beautiful. I thought it was peaceful. Did I believe it needed more business? Yes. But more people? Even though I'm new to the town, not necessarily. I do believe that there does need to be more development business-wise, but I do believe you need to focus on the businesses that are here. We have a lot, people keep saying you have to go to another town to get food. No, you don't. It's great food in this town, but everything is so separated out or proper signage is not there, so people do not know. So maybe there needs to be a little bit more of restructuring of the town and its restaurants, and maybe move the residential area to someplace else. I'm sure you can find someplace else where it could be not in the middle of the heart of town where traffic and just walking will be affected. And also, in that same breath, pay more attention to the businesses that we have. If maybe we started doing nights during the summers, live in Livingston's, we could bring more people to the businesses we have and generate more business that way. You don't always need more foot traffic, because all I can think of is you keep saying more businesses, but like they said before, what, 2 restaurants? That's not necessarily businesses, it's people. And right now, both of the middle schools are drowning in people. The high school seems like it is sinking. So what do you think is going to happen when you put 2 more residential units in the heart of town? Right there where the traffic is its busiest. How are people supposed to turn one way? Are you going to have to go all the way down to make U-turns? I feel like this is not going to be great for the town. And I also believe that each one of you is going to regret this vote, because it's not just about losing votes. It's also about losing the trust of the people that you call your neighbors. Council Lady Bugoli, congratulations on your state legislature win, but you might be making decisions there to people that you never have to see. These people here, you have to go to the grocery store. Our kids are in the same schools. We all have to do and deal with the same things. So remember that, because losing trust might mean more than just losing a vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Paul Boxer, 12 Audubon. Just a quick accounting. There were 11 emails in favor of this project, 44 opposed. So far, we've heard from 10 people for this project and about to be 13 opposed. I don't think many who spoke in favor of this project live anywhere near it. If they did, just for the record, if they did, they would know there are many houses within walking distance already of Livingston Avenue, plenty of pedestrian traffic. I count my kids among the individuals who create that traffic. They walk up and down Livingston Avenue, they shop at the different shops, go to Starbucks, almost get hit by cars, of course, but that's part of the deal, I suppose, if you're gonna live near a busy commercial area. This could have been a collaborative process. We wanna be like other towns. I hear that over and over. Other towns do that. Other towns collaborate with their residents on projects of this magnitude. The elected leaders of other towns, when faced with vexing community issues, will sit down with residents to try and work something out. And all these towns that we are supposedly competing with, they have nice downtowns, they all have train stations. And for the record, our schools are still better. For so many reasons. Because of the people of this town. My neighborhood has invited you folks to come and talk to us over and over again. Meet with us in our neighborhood. We have presented you here with questions, and we have been stonewalled at every possible turn. By way of reminder, none of us from the neighborhood proximal to the project ever proposed scrapping the whole thing. None of us asked for a big box store. That's ridiculous. No one asked for that. We welcome new storefronts. We simply asked for the project to be scaled back. If there's any chance that we will be heard tonight, I urge you to vote this down. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Howard Kastner. My wife and I are 35-year residents of Livingston. We raised 2 children here, both of whom went to the Mount Pleasant Elementary School and Middle School and graduated from Livingston High School. Just 3 points as I'm sitting here listening. One is a lot of the arguments that have been made here tonight with regard to the proposed project. I remember years ago with regard to the town center. I've been here long enough to remember when there was, in the town center in that area, when there was a movie theater there, there was a home goods store, there were Silverman's, we could walk there with our children, and we were told how we needed a downtown, and so how this new town center was going to somehow revolutionize or improve life in Livingston. And I'm listening, it's like, okay, if the town center didn't do that, what makes anyone think that this new proposal for 45 South Livingston Avenue would somehow do that? I also heard tonight, well, we need some place for the children, I just have to mention, who at Mount Pleasant School to walk to. And I was like, really? They're gonna walk all the way from grammar school, from Mount Pleasant Elementary School to Livingston Avenue? And it's, but I think the basic point here is, I've heard a lot of people talk about somehow a need that we need a downtown. We don't have a downtown, and that's fine. The configuration of our streets, the lack of a train station, that we have streets, Livingston Avenue and Mount Pleasant Avenue, have tons of traffic on them. Downtown Millburn, in addition to train station, has small blocks, small streets, has the configuration is a downtown, but that's okay. Somehow we think that somehow we're gonna build a downtown by having, another housing unit here. We're not, I don't think. We just don't have a downtown, and I think it's sort of a fantasy to think that we could somehow build one without building whole new streets and totally reconfiguring the town. But that's fine. We don't have to have that. My wife and I have had a wonderful life here. We continue to live here. Even though we're empty nesters, we have no plans on leaving. More traffic on Livingston Avenue and Route 10. That's something I don't think my wife and I would really relish. And we're fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Name for the record.
Anthony Armando. I'm the owner of 142 South Livingston Avenue, 132. Where the Frugal Bowls is, Camerata's is next door, if you know where that is. What I do for a living, I'm an excavator. I do everything underground. I do all sewer, water, foundations, drainage. If it's underground, we do it. What it comes down to here with this, and these people that are talking about they want lovely walking here and, town center and all that stuff, it's an arithmetic equation. And which brings me to one question. Is there any engineering on this at all? Was there an engineer on this drawing? Is there a master plan for this project? And if there is, who's the engineer? I want to talk to him, because I don't believe there is, because I don't think they crunched the numbers. And the reason why I know that is because I know what's underground. I know the sewer, I know the water, I know what's there. You don't have it for this project. You don't, okay? Number two, Livingston Avenue is a 2-lane road masquerading as a 4-lane road. And that's why you have these maniacs in the morning and at rush hour running down, they think they're qualifying for a NASCAR race. Very dangerous. No one's gonna walk with their kids down Livingston Avenue to the towns. They're not gonna do that. And if they do, they're crazy. You're gonna get hurt. That's why they don't do it. That's the bottom line. The telephone poles are right on the curb, okay? I'll give you an example. One time, out by the curb, putting garbage out, a bus came by with his West Coast mirror, almost took my head. It would have killed me if I wasn't bending down putting the garbage. That's how close they are to the road. So you don't have, the situation you have is what I just said. It's too small. It's not designed for this. Livingston is not laid out for this type of thing. And then you're going to add the minimum of 200 cars, at least 200 cars with this project you're trying to do here. Not going to work, all right? And it comes down to this, arithmetic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, My name is Hasmukh Modi, and I'm at 36 Hazel Avenue. And, this project, I don't think it's gonna get more revenues or anything. And I am staying in this town 43 years. And I came here to live a peaceful life. It was a one family's own houses. Now, there are a lot of apartments and traffic and this and that. I live near the center. And looks like you people wanted to, all senior sitting here, they want to get out from this house, this town I'm in. Because you are making seniors' life more miserable. Because crossing on Livingston Avenue is a very hard. And we had before the movie theaters and things at the center, and they closed. So looks like this area, particular this area, is not good for the commercial or walking things, So please, I don't like this project at all, and I vote for no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Sarah Goldstein, Audubon Road. I would first like to start by congratulating whoever arranged the campaign in support of this project, the 9 emails in support, the 7 men who stood here today and talked about it, the one man's mom who was in support, and the one anonymous letter are a real drop in the bucket of the flood of what is zero support that has been publicly expressed previously. I do appreciate the gentleman who spoke on behalf of the need for building for the special need community, but I would also like to point out that the developer could still donate services to the agency without also blighting the community. You have heard from me numerous times before, but I do have a new concern about the project that I would like to express. I would like to publicly express my dismay at the planning board's process and attention to holistically evaluate the pros versus cons of this new project. I had a high level of shock and dismay when I witnessed the planning board meeting last week. With the charge of evaluating the consistency of the project to the master plan, the planning board focused on 2 elements of the plan and ignored everything else. These elements were the need for elevators in a building 2 stories higher, and the fact that the building was at the gateway to town. There was no consideration whatsoever for the size, scope, location, safety, impact to the town infrastructure, and consistency with the community and surrounding neighborhood. Also, I want to implore members of the town council to stop stacking town committees with individuals in favor of overdevelopment. Please ensure that municipal committees are representative of the community in terms of age, gender, race, and ethnicity. Also, board members should all live in town and should not also serve as our town manager. Something about that doesn't seem right or logical. When I asked the town council during COVID if you could put a crossing guard on the corner of Livingston Ave and Mount Pleasant on the route that my elementary school-aged child walked to school and from school, you told me no. When my daughter was hit by a car when she was crossing Livingston Avenue about 3 years ago, she was hurt. But thankfully, she was okay after medical treatment. How will you feel when the outcome is more dire for another child due to the increased traffic flow that this project will yield in its current iteration? In conclusion, the negatives simply outweigh the positives, and I know each and every one of you know this despite what your vote might be tonight. You know there are more negatives than positive. Despite the thin masquerade of support expressed tonight, your constituents do not support the size, scope, and scale of this apartment high-rise complex. Listen to the people that you are supposed to represent. Let's redevelop, but let's do it in a socially sound, environmentally responsible, and neighborly way. Thank you.
Gary Laveman, 1201 Point Gate Drive, Livingston, 07039. Good evening. I hope I'm still there. I'd like to address a few issues this evening. First is so-called BID, Business Improvement District. And people have made allegations about other towns in the area and how superior they are. My wife and I go to some of these towns all the time. Let's start with Montclair. We love the Claridge Theater. We go there all the time, once a week at the minimum. There are no 200 apartments, complexes in downtown Montclair. If you don't believe me, go there. There are not in downtown. If you go to Milburn on Main Street or Milburn Avenue, you will not find 200 apartment complexes that have been cited. And the same thing is true of Summit. Okay? My wife and I are opposed to Ordinance 19. That's one of the reasons. Another reason, the mathematics. Someone just cited mathematics. Assuming this monstrosity goes up, there will be at least 300 cars per day in the parking lot. 200 for residents, 100 for people shopping. But if some people have 2 cars per apartment, you might have 400 or 500 additional cars in that 7-acre property. That would be intolerable. Third, this is a follow-up to what the young lady just said when she was presenting. It seems to me that a majority of people are opposed to this ordinance. And we appreciate that all of you work countless hours and you're really not paid for it. You're donating your services. But you are public servants. And I emphasize the word servant. Public servants. We don't represent you, you represent us. And if a majority of people, including a large majority, are opposed to a particular project, it would seem to me that you would respond to that as public servants and not take the leadership, but follow the majority on any given issue. And my last point, I'd like to quote Profiles in Courage, one of the great political science volumes ever written, John F. Kennedy. And he was talking about what is courage for people in the political realm. I'll just quote 1 or 2 sentences because, well, he says you have to vote your conscience.
Time. Thank you.
Good evening. I just wanted to first address, I'm glad that some people did come out and mention that why they might be in support of this project. I think there's some misunderstanding. We are in favor of a project, right? We are not in favor of the density and the size of it. We would love for some downtown area, commercial development, and we have been saying that again and again and again. So we would respectfully ask the town council take a look at this ordinance and put reasonable limits regarding height and density. It is clear that this building far exceeds the limits of any project along Livingston Avenue. After hearing the concerns of your residents, we haven't heard why this plan needs to be this high and dense. We need 2 of you to turn this back to the planning board and say, let's put this into perspective. Of course, we would all like to have thriving businesses and retail spaces at this location, but it is possible to achieve this while also preserving the character of downtown Livingston. We have also heard that the town has been discussing this for 5 years, and we need to finally decide what to do with this property. But that isn't the fault of the citizens. If it needs to take a few more weeks to get this right, please do so. The residents have only been part of this discussion since July. I do not know what has been going on behind the scenes for the past 5 years, but this shouldn't be the reason to rush this process now. As we said, the mathematics is not figured out. And once you approve this, 210, 60 feet high, you do not go back. Now the developer can sue if you tonight feel like absolutely this is the case and then go, oh, we made a mistake. I attended the planning board meeting on the 21st, and at that meeting, Mr. Diner raised many points as to why this plan does not meet the principles of the Livingston Master Plan. Many of those points have been raised at the town council meetings by citizens since July. He recommended that the planning board send the ordinance back to the town council with the following recommendations. Lower the density and the height to the levels of similar projects within the neighborhood previously approved. By doing so, that would reduce many of the problems that that this will will be exacerbated by the current plan. Move the setback from Livingston Avenue to lessen the impact of this uncharacteristically tall building on Livingston Avenue. Consider a traffic light on Arden and move the cost of the installation to the developer. What I learned from the planning board meeting on the 21st was that they don't determine if this project meets the spirit of the master plan. It is your job, the town council, to uphold the principles behind it. The reason is because the town council declared these lots to be an area of redevelopment. I don't know whose legal guidance you were following, but when you did it, you let the genie out of the bottle. The developers started to smile, and the taxpayers of Livingston are the ones who will have to pay for the
Thank you.
mistakes of the town council.
All right, thank you.
Please consider this before you make this vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pretty Maida. I live at 3 Bonnie View Drive. I'm a Livingston High School graduate. I worked for the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. I have my master's degree in public administration. I also am the daughter of 2 immigrants who worked very hard and lived in Livingston pretty much their entire adult lives. And mom's in a wheelchair. My mom's in a wheelchair. Many of you all know this. We are very fond of our town's fire department, public services. Everyone's always great. My question is, we're building this building and it's supposed to accommodate special needs people. How many wheelchairs have we seen on Livingston Avenue? How accessible is Livingston Avenue for a person in a wheelchair? I'm trying to understand, because I'm hearing that the affordable housing is going somewhere else, so are we gonna develop an inclusive community somewhere else in town? I'm trying to understand how a family with special needs kids who deserve to go to school in Livingston, how are they going to thrive in a community when they probably can't get out of their streets? Because we've heard from our neighbors here who have said, we're almost being run over by cars going fast. Well, if people who walk are getting run over, what hope is there for a person in a wheelchair? Or a child, actually, in a wheelchair, and their parent who's pushing them around? So I just have these questions because I push a wheelchair around every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Conception Arena. I'm on 20 Glennon Road. I oppose this project. I think we should invest in surveys and studies by experts or professionals, including engineering, as stated earlier by a prior speaker. I also believe we should have impact analysis to the community, including traffic, schools, utilities, et cetera. These studies should be made available to everyone, to residents, and to yourselves. We should be given a chance to review these, perform diligence that the persons who are performing these studies are qualified to do the studies. So I have not been involved in any of the hearings prior, or the discussions prior to today. So I apologize if some of my comments are, not current. But I haven't seen any sort of formal studies presented by a third party who's not connected to the project or to the town or to the managers or to you guys. So after we are provided this study, and again, it's everyone in town and you guys, we would have a better basis for a decision to be made. We can't make everyone in town happy. There's always going to be somebody who's unhappy for whatever reason that is. But rest assured, transparency is key. Surveys and impact analysis will go a very long way. And decisions that you all make today will have some basis of fact. From what I've read, and again, there's a lot of negative tones as mentioned in the past, it's because people are frustrated. But if we provide everyone with a, independent review of these impacts and give everybody the opportunity to make their own decisions, and everyone can come to this meeting informed by the impact rather than giving their opinions, which a lot of people are doing because there's no studies available. If we do that, You can make a decision based on the facts presented, and you can walk away and not regret. And people would point fingers after the fact. You could point to the study and say, this document says, these are the impacts. We made a decision based on facts, based on studies by professionals who are qualified, and not just some random person who decided to do the study. That would be a little more easier to digest for those who oppose the end result. So lastly, I would like to say okay, that's it.
Thank you.
My name is Barbara Geiger. My husband and I have lived at 14 Tiffany Drive since 1977. And we're not going anywhere. We came here for the schools. We raised our kids here. And I taught in the Livingston Public Schools for 29 years. Now I'm retired. I know about the schools. And my main concern, because I'm always all about the schools, is the impact of all these apartments on the schools. It's not just eating on the floor in the gym. There's not enough room in the schools. You know about the portables. Please be very, very certain before you add all these apartments of the impact on the schools. The schools have no room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alexander Rubin. We live at 74 Hazel Avenue. We moved here less than 2 years ago from the city, from the place with a lot of buildings, rentals, owners, and that's it. We moved here. First of all, our aim to get here was schools. And Livingston is famous not about its nightlife or downtown or something like that. It's famous of school. By Nietzsche, it was top 5 schools statewide. That's why we are here. We are parents of 2- and 4-year kids. Okay, and our main concern is still living here, the town we love. For this couple of years, we really felt in love in this town. And my main concern is the school. Again, I understand that maybe it's too many repeating of the schools. And the only for building these rental apartments, I heard loud and clear, was putting some life into our downtown, right? First of all, it's just statistics. The population of Livingston is going 7% up every 10 years. It's Wikipedia, okay? And there is no such a thing like downtown here, believe me. We have a business district, but it's not downtown. We definitely lose comparing to Chatham, to Summit. It's different kind of city. But me and my wife, we love the city the way it is now. And let me clear it. We live in a walking distance of the cross of Livingston and Mount Pleasant. And these rare evenings we can spend together with my wife, okay, we are going out of city. Why? We've been here in these restaurants, Tauma and some of this. It's not because we want to go out far. That's because these restaurants are worse than restaurants in Montclair or comparable cities. And you believe that this 200 apartment complex will make it live? Nope. None of us, none of you, want to have your bedroom windows watching the fire station. And young professionals will come here paying tens and tens thousand grants for rental this apartment. It's funny, number one. Number two, if you want to make some laugh here, okay, place nightclub, striptease, or casino. You will definitely get traffic here, but it will not be Livingston anymore. Do you want this kind of Livingston? Okay, let it be Livingston it is. Thank you.
It's going to be hard to top that one. My name is Bob Gebro. I live on Hemlock Road. I live there. I live in town 50 years. I expect to live here another 50 years. I want to start out by congratulating the 3 young people who stood up here and spoke in front of an entire room of adults. You guys rock. Don't ever stop talking up. You got that? Because you are our future leaders. I'll tell you, you're awesome. It takes so much guts to do what you did. Amazing. Okay, I wasn't planning on coming back. I was here when the developer was here. And I've been digesting some of his responses at that meeting, okay? And let me preface it by saying I am all for improving this town. Okay, how can anyone in their right mind argue with that? Okay, so let's start out with that premise, okay? I think, after listening to a lot of intelligent people in this crowd, I think, we probably would all agree that we're in favor of improving the town. The problem that I'm hearing is this development is just way too big. We can't handle it. There's already, and it goes back to the responses of the developer. I'm thinking about the traffic situation, okay? He specifically said at that meeting, and many people were concerned about traffic, that it would not cause an additional traffic problem. How can anyone in their right mind, believe that? There's already a tremendous traffic problem. You ever try going from Route 78 to Route 280 on Livingston Avenue? God knows how many lights there are. I wish I had $1 for every light you have to, go through. And obviously this is going to add another light, maybe 2 lights, who knows? And there's got to be additional traffic, no question about it. The other thing that aided me when I came to this meeting and listened to all the mothers who came up here and said, my daughter has to eat lunch on the cafeteria floor at the high school every single day. I went home and I've been thinking about that, and I'm saying, my God, if I was a parent of one of those kids, it would kill me. It would just kill me to know about that. I mean, that is just unconscionable. Okay? Oh, shit.
Thank you, Bob.
I'm going to go over time.
No, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
He bordered
Thank you, Bob.
on insulting
Thank-
this intelligent audience.
Mayor, the 3 minutes is over.
Thank you, Bob.
Richard Diner, Beaufort Avenue. I first want to thank a lot of the people that came and spoke in favor of the project. We have not heard much of that, and I think a counterpoint is good, and that should be encouraged as well. Tonight, I believe, well, start with, the bid through its executive director made a statement this evening supporting mixed-use properties. I respect the bid and its members, and as many of those that have spoken against this development have stated on the record, myself included, is that we also do not object to the concept. But what is objectionable is the density, the height, and scope, especially in this location. It should also be clear that the bid made no comment or support of this particular project in its current size. One other hook that I want to throw out that's a little bit different is that I believe this ordinance, as presented, has been improperly introduced. The original plan, which was dated in June of 2023, was prepared by Beacon Planning and Consulting Services and attached to the previous ordinance for the same location, which was ultimately withdrawn prior to a final vote. Prior to the reintroduction of this plan and the first reading several weeks ago, that plan was modified, changing the date, changing the numbers, and changing a number of the other items which our town manager talked about earlier tonight. The issue is that the changes that were made were not done by Beacon, but were submitted as if they were done by Beacon. That in and of itself is misleading and unethical. And for no other reason, this ordinance, as currently submitted, should be withdrawn until it is determined who made the changes and why it was submitted without the professional planner's knowledge or approval. Thank you.
Tim Foley, 16 Mount Pleasant Parkway. Everybody did such a great job up here. Absolutely. We are for something on this property, but we are not for the density of this project. I've said this multiple times up here. Livingston was not built to have a downtown. This is a colonial style town, period. Downtowns, like somebody else brought up, I was gonna bring it up too, they have train stations. That's what we don't have, and we don't want one, all right? Again, the Livingston Avenue, Mr. Ramondo, I said this in other meetings, it's a 2-lane road. Back in the 70s, they squeezed 4 lanes at both centers. Doesn't work anymore. Really should go back down to 2 lanes, not DOT regulated roads. Police, fire, EMS. Fire departments volunteer. We have 50 guys that do a lot for this town. The problem is, you're gonna continue to grow this town, we're not gonna get more volunteers. And there's additional $12 million, at least minimum of $12 million in new taxes that we will have to eat for a paid fire department. It's got to stop. We want this piece of property developed. Absolutely. Friedman should be ridiculed on the way he kept his building. He had businesses in there that thrived. Now we have to go to Milburn to deal with Livingston Camera. So we just lost a great camera place that was in town. I don't know. It was here when I was a kid. I'm the 4th generation that lives in this town. And like I've said before, I doubt there's going to be a 5th generation. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Pat Nave, 16 Concord Drive. We all know that the property being discussed here needs redevelopment. There's no question, none of us question that. What we do question is the lack of support and understanding from the planning board and you. We know you've heard us. We know you've seen us. You appear to sit in judgment as a group of uninformed residents as we plead intelligently, knowledgeably, and sometimes emotionally that this location is not the right spot for this development. Speakers have said why over and over, but please appear to fall on deaf ears. Many speakers live adjacent to this area, but many don't. I'm 1.5 miles away. Yet regardless of where one lives, as residents, we are all victims of the traffic congestion that surrounds this main intersection from all sides and all directions. Our homes, yours, mine, and those of speakers are our havens, our safe place to live, relax, to escape the stress and problems of business and professional parts of our day. A towering business and professional, a towering, bustling business residential complex with hundreds of cars coming and going will undermine the sanctity of nearby homeowners and add to the already congested road conditions that exist even now for us. A major concern is our water quality and the use of wells with higher levels of PFOA in summer months due to higher water demands as stated in township mailings. I know remediation work is planned and beginning, but with these 210 apartments at number 45, plus the other hundreds of apartments and homes already approved, in addition to those coming down the pike, which I believe is over 1,000 apartments coming to Livingston. At this point, the water demands will increase and water from these wells will be used more and more, not just in the summer months. I know developers are crazy all over New Jersey. It's not just here. East Hanover, Cedar Knolls, Roseland, Milburn, Summit, Montclair, and Westfield. These developers are smiling on their way to the bank, not caring about the mess they leave in their wake. It has already been said by other speakers here that New Jersey residents from all areas must form a group and work legally to stop this overdevelopment of our neighborhoods, our communities, our state. We need a leader, perhaps a lawyer, perhaps a businessman, perhaps an educator, or perhaps a physician, to step up and lead the way to a fair and equitable correction of laws now in place. We all share concerns about these other towns, but for me, for us, our town is our priority, and in my head and heart, I hope it is yours too. We don't need something of this magnitude in this spot. We don't need something of this magnitude at all. What we need is for you just to say no.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to give testimony? May I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 19-2023?
So moved.
May I have a second? All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. You know what? I've listened to many of you, and as I was listening to some of you, I wrote a couple notes here, and I'd like to offer an amendment to this ordinance and propose a reduction in the number of units to 195 units. Right now, it's at 210, so I would like to offer 195 market rate, corresponding with the affordable housing of 29 units offsite for the special needs housing. So,
Second.
well, so I need a motion, or Mr. Cantor, I can do that, right?
Yes, Mary, you can make that motion. And based on use 210 to 195, I'm finding that not to be a substantial alteration to the ordinance based on the applicable case law, which would be Manning versus Borough of Paramus 37 NJ Super 574. I believe that we wouldn't have to reintroduce the ordinance, and it could be amended for a reduction of units.
Thank you. May I have a motion to amend the ordinance?
I'll make the motion to amend the.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Carolyn, roll call, please. This is on the amendment.
Amendment. Council members Meinhardt,
Yes.
Klein,
Klein is absent.
sorry, recused, Begoli,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anthony,
Yes.
Mayor Vieira.
Yes. Now, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance number 19-2023 as amended?
Amended to 195. So moved.
Amended to 195, yes.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Do any council members have any comments? No, we have to comments first, discussion.
Sure. Mayor, can I make some comments?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank all the residents who took the time to come to these meetings or sent letters in. Whether you believe the project should be built or not, we have listened closely to both sides. These decisions have and still are the hardest ones for myself to make. I'm grateful that we live in a country where we can express our opinions freely and still go home with our families afterwards. However, I am not grateful for keyboard warriors who have the audacity to put developers' home addresses on Facebook with the square foot of their house and information about their family. Since you are so concerned about the size of his house, have you bothered, or has anyone bothered to do any research on this multi-generational Livingston family? Had you, it would have yielded how generous and philanthropic families are, from Holocaust survivors to those less fortunate and to those with special needs, and especially to those here in Livingston. How fortunate we are to have a developer who has grown up in town who wants to make a project in this town work. And I am not grateful for a keyboard warrior who suggested it would be a good idea to protest in front of town council members' home, causing fear to my family and extra police overtime to make sure that we are safe.
This project has come before us in a variety of sizes and unit counts. We have worked tirelessly over the last 5 years with the owner-developer to come up with today's plan, and now a reduction in the plan made by the mayor. Today's plan and the new units show a result of our taking our time, listening to what residents have to say, countless meetings and phone calls, and settling on a compromise between all of us. Let's remember, this piece of land could turn into an 80,000 square foot retail establishment tomorrow, and there would be nothing that the town council or the planning board could do. This would cause much more traffic throughout the entire day, have cars pulling in and out of the parking lots in the back till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, lights on over the entire place all evening, 40-foot trucks coming in the middle of the evening to restock the shelves, and more noise than 195 units will ever cause. If this fails this evening, the developer will be in court tomorrow morning, filed a builder's remedy with fair share housing. And when it is awarded, the town will have spent a lot of money on legal fees to lose, and the number will go from 195 to 495 or greater. As discussed in our conference meeting earlier, we are in constant communication with the Board of Education. Assemblywoman-elect Begoli and myself are working together with town manager and the superintendent of schools to repurpose the Monmouth Court to the Board of Education for a full-time school for them to use. As you can tell, we just don't sit here every other Monday night to make uneducated and rash decisions. We spend countless hours at meetings, on the phone, and making decisions we believe are correct for the future of Livingston. Change is very, very hard. I'm very well aware. But without change, we are doomed to be stagnant with no way of advancing. This project has the potential to be transformative to our downtown, spur the support of local businesses, and this project will greatly add to the walkability of this township. I'm confident that there is more to gain as a collective whole than as separate factions, and I vote yes.
Is there any other discussion? I have a couple comments. Some of them I have are being repeated from the last meeting, but I'm going to talk about a couple projects. The Parkview Apartments on Eisenhower Parkway. The town council said the project was too big, and the builder took the town to court. The town lost the lawsuit. The township appealed and lost, the township appealed and lost the appeal. The builder received everything that they wanted. Dubrow's Nursery, which is now the Hillside Club on Northfield Road, the town said the project was too big, and the builder took the township to court. The town lost the lawsuit. The township appealed and lost the appeal. The builder received everything that they wanted. The Pulte homes over at Kushner Academy, the town said the project was too big, and the builder threatened to take the Livingston to court. And based on the court's unfavorable track records to Livingston, Livingston was able to negotiate with the builder a little bit, but those buildings were still built. Now, in regards to 45 South Livingston Avenue, this builder has worked with the town. The original plans were for more than 400 units and 5 complete stories, and the town said no, go back to the drawing board. Then it was around 350 units. We said no, go back to the drawing board. Then it was 276, 240, 210, now 195. The builder has reduced this property, or will reduce this property, by more than 50%. You know, this builder could have easily sued us and asked for 600 units. And that's exactly what's going to happen in the next round of the fair share housing in 2025 if we say no. And the courts will side with that builder, and our votes will be silenced through the court system. And I do agree that the state of New Jersey needs to restructure the Fair Share Housing Corporation, because clearly there are no fair advantages to towns when judges always side with the Fair Share Housing Corporation. And Councilman Meinhardt, you were a little bit generous in your comments, but I am going to comment on that anti-council social media site. You know what? And I'm going to call out Karen Goodman, who ended up posting the builder's address. And Paul Boxer, you're the administrator of that site. What did you do? You allowed that to remain up. You could have taken it down. And David Linsky, while the council was not in Livingston and we were attending a conference, on that same social media page, he posted that our town council members' houses needed to be picketed. You know, I signed up to represent this town with my family's blessing. However, making posts that can affect my family is not right, and I won't stand for it. Don't come after my family. Come after me if you want to. And Paul Boxer, you know, you're the site's administrator. What did you do? You gave it the thumbs up. You and Stephen Gilbert, you like that. disgusting. So thank you very much. I will be voting yes. No, you can't.
No.
Is there any other comments? Is there any other comments? Is
No,
there,
Mayor.
is there any other comments?
Can we call the question?
Madam Clerk, please proceed with the roll call.
Councilmember Meinhardt?
Yes.
Begoli? Yes. Deputy Mayor Anthony? Mayor Vieira?
Yes.
Mayor, can we request a 5-minute break?
Sure.
Thank you.
We're taking a 5-minute break. Deputy Mayor? Where's Al? Where's Ed? Come on. I don't know. Yep. Council's back in session. This is a consent agenda. All matters listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and will be approved in one motion. There will be no separate discussions on these items unless the member of the governing body so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda as part of general orders. Madam Clerk, can you please read all the resolutions on the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor. Resolution 23-250, authorizing purchases under the Bergen County Cooperative Pricing System. Resolution 23-251, authorizing purchases under the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey Purchasing Program.
Do any members of the council wish to have any items removed from the consent agenda for discussion? No. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the resolutions on the consent agenda? It's been moved, Mayor, a second.
Sorry.
Carolyn, roll call, please.
Councilmember Meinhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Begoli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Anthony?
Yes.
Mayor Viera?
Yes. At this time, we're at the public portion on any subject with a 3-minute time limit. May I have a motion to open the public portion on any subject?
Second?
All in favor? Opposed?
No.
A meeting is now open with the subject to a 3-minute time limit. Is there anyone who would like to take the microphone? When you do, please give your name for the record. Come on.
Good evening. Jackie Latzman on Wynwood Road.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate the opportunity to express my thoughts on gratitude. I'm very grateful that I was raised in this town and that I'm raising my family in this town, and for the policies in place that I take for granted that kept and keep me safe. When I was around 7, my parents called the police because I was having nightmares about our house being broken into, and the police spoke reassuringly on the phone to me about how our house was safe and their job was to keep people safe. As a 5th grade participant in the DARE LEAD program, I remember the messages and foundation laid by Officer Chuck, whose warmth and personality made each of us 5th graders feel special. As an adult, I appreciate the officers who ensure that kids and travelers are safe when crossing Northfield and various intersections during the school hours. I'm grateful for the police there every Saturday morning at the Orthodox Synagogue to ensure that worshipers are arriving and departing services in a safe manner. I'm grateful to the Chief of Police judgment in hiring professionals who care about our community and making sure the residents are safe in a variety of capacities. I specifically want to state how grateful I am for Detective Kevin Mullaney and how he was hired to join the Livingston Police Department in 2015. I knew when I met him and became friends with him when we were teenagers at the pool and saw how dedicated he was in lifeguarding and coaching and how he was an asset to whatever endeavor he took on. We're so lucky that he's in our town and in the police department. It makes me very sad how gun violence is so rampant in our nation and that we need safeguards and policies in place. When I found out a few years back that Detective Mullaney was directly involved in active shooter training in my synagogue and several other houses of worship and heard such positive feedback about his training, I felt gratitude. Gratitude that someone with his knowledge, expertise, experience, and commitment to protecting others is here to help us feel safe with whatever is going on in the world. When I would read articles in the Tribune throughout the past few years and saw features on Detective Mullaney involved in several community programs, I felt gratitude. I'd wondered why he hadn't been and he had disappeared from the public eye as of late, and from reading about Detective Mullaney's lawsuit, I now know why. And I'm hoping for a quick and positive outcome from the case and that Detective Mullaney not only resumes the strong collaborative relationship with the LPD, but is restored to his role as a vital leader in our community. And I'm grateful for Detective Mullaney and all of the members of the Livingston Police Department, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear this.
Great, thank you very much.
Hi, Paul Boxer, 12 Audubon. So for the past 10 minutes, I've been trying to collect my thoughts. I'm not sure exactly if anything's going to come out clearly. Your accusations of me are baseless. Okay. I am the administrator of the Livingston Cares About Politics Facebook group. That is true. I took over a few months ago when the original admins asked me to. I've administered other Facebook groups. I was involved in L-Town. I have groups with colleagues, things like that. If there was a post doxing somebody, I didn't see it. I have it the day I took over as admin, I set it to post approval, which means that the admin has to approve a post that goes in there. I wouldn't have approved that. If it occurred before I took over, I can't be accountable for that. It's not there now. I just looked. You said Karen Goodman. Literally, I've never met the woman in person in my life. If she posted it, she deleted it, or somebody else did. I didn't. It's not there.
It's there, okay.
Hold on. If it's still there, you can show me. I'll delete it. I haven't seen it. I give you my word. I am a tenured full professor at Rutgers University. I'm a clinical psychologist. I study child development. I study violence prevention. I've worked with the police forces in Jersey City, in Newark. I've worked to promote positive youth development all around our state. I have no interest in doing anything that is problematic, challenges anyone's safety, or makes anyone feel bullied or afraid to be around me, or anything like that.
So
I'm
Paul,
not. Hold on, please. Let me.
okay,
I have my
I'm sorry,
time.
you have a minute
I
and
have my
30
time.
minutes.
You can respond to me however you want. I'll take it. I don't care. It's fine. Okay? I am not a keyboard warrior, because here I am. You can talk to me, ask me anything. In fact, for the past few months, I'll show you the text message. I'll show anyone the text messages. I've invited you to my house for a beer to show you the neighborhood and talk about the problems. I've talked to you about almost getting hit multiple times by cars on Sherbrooke when I'm just walking my dog. I have a vested interest in this community thriving and blossoming safely. I'm not out there to cause problems. I don't own a gun. I'm anti-gun. I'm anti-violence. I used to be the research director for our gun violence center at Rutgers. This is not who I am. When I'm doxing someone so that they feel safe and not inside their feel unsafe in their home, I've never done that, and I would never do it. I was doxed over the past 2 weeks about my political beliefs. I got anonymous messages sent to me through a professional psychology portal that I haven't used in like 10 years. So someone's down there trying to figure out how am I going to get in touch with Boxer anonymously. That's happening to me. So I feel unsafe. What's my recourse? I don't have a dais to come up and shout and defame people who might be doing it. I don't know who's doing it. I used to work on the LCDI with you. You know what I'm about. I'm not here trying to ruin anyone's life. I'm trying to have a safe neighborhood for my kids to grow up in and work in. And by the way, freedom of assembly is protected by the First Amendment. People can protest.
So, Mr. Boxer, when David Linsky posted about picketing our houses,
Yes.
okay, did you put a thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay,
And
thank
can
you.
I tell you why?
Thank you. No, I don't need to
Now
know
I can't
why.
tell you why.
I don't need to know why. Your time is up. Thank you.
freedom of assembly.
Thank you. Okay,
So I will
thank you.
So I will assume then, if you put a thumbs up, you were the administrator of the time when that post went up, correct?
Okay. You scared our families.
I just answer me one question. If you put a thumbs up to that comment? Yes or no?
He admitted it. Yes, he did.
So I would assume at that point, which was about 10 days ago, were you the administrator? Yes or no?
Will I get to respond?
Yes or no? Were you the administrator
I
10
am
days
part-
ago? I'm asking because I'd like to know, because my wife to this day is still scared that she was in that house by herself.
And my wife and children are too.
When somebody on your website, and you thumbs up, said we should protest in front of their homes. My wife is still upset at that.
You owe us an apology.
I'm sorry if anything that I did made anyone feel unsafe. That is what I was just saying for the last few minutes. Let me just say, please, one more thing. Just one more thing. I have colleagues at Rutgers involved in what's happening right now at the RWJ hospital where the nurses are picketing, or on strike, right? My colleagues at Rutgers, who are union active, have been doing protests on the sidewalk in front of the CEO of the Barnabas Health Systems house for quite some time now. The right to picket, protest when you are unhappy with a political situation is protected under the First Amendment. If anything that I did made anyone feel unsafe, number one, you could have told me. I would have removed the post if someone was feeling unsafe, no problem. Do I support the right to protest? 100%, and I would never pretend otherwise. It's part of the First Amendment. You're up here lecturing us about First Amendment, the laws, all these kinds of things. It's protected. I could still take a sign and do it. I wouldn't. I don't have time. Man, I have 3 kids and a full-time job. My wife has a full-time job. We are busy. I would never do anything to put anyone's safety, security, well-being, et cetera, at risk. Never.
Mr. Boxer, I accept your apology.
I want to say thank you for the apology. While
it may not have been intentional. We are living in very difficult times. I live next to a synagogue. We weren't by our homes. To get a phone call saying that people will show up at our house, at my house, where my 3 boys live, where you have 3 children yourself, and I'm not there, it was very hurtful for us to have that be seen there. And I've been a union member my entire career. I do believe I will never cross a picket line. I understand that we have the right to assemble. But these are ordinary times. And to have individuals come to my home where I live right next door to a temple, to a shul, and have them come and show up at my house when I'm not there, it's very scary to me. You don't know who's coming to our house. Yes, we're all neighbors, but you don't know who you're sending from your site to our homes to incite whatever you may want to incite. That's the position we took that day. It was hurtful to us. I appreciate your apology and your explanation. I
Please do
really
not
do.
suggest that I was sending anyone anywhere.
But there's the law of unintended consequences, right? And we never know. And that did create fear.
Did any of you call Litsky?
I'm sorry, what did he say?
Did any of you call or reach out to Litsky, the guy who made the post?
No, I think the administrator should have taken it down. As the administrator, you should have taken it down, Paul.
Jean Stoloff.
Hey, Jean, how are you?
Okay, I had not planned to speak, but I would just like for myself to apologize to all of you because the tension and the ugliness that's come out tonight is not typical of Livingston. And I hope that we'll never have it happen again. And I hope that you will all forgive any of us who might have said something offensive, and I hope that it goes back the other way, because it was really distressing to sit here and listen to what's happening. I had no idea it had gotten this extreme. So on behalf of myself, I apologize.
No, Jean.
And I hope that other
thank you,
people in
Jean.
town feel the same way.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Did not get dressed to speak publicly this evening, so I apologize. I'm Jennifer Kessler. I'm also an admin on that page. I have spent the better part of the Livingston Politics page, rather. I spent the better part since you spoke about this, looking for those posts. I cannot find them. Perhaps people
We
cooler
took
head-
screenshots.
Okay, I appreciate cooler, perhaps, excuse me, I should be thankful I'm losing my voice. Hopefully cooler heads ultimately prevailed. Unfortunately, I do recall seeing the post with Mr. Schwartz's address. I don't remember if it was on the politics page, if it was on a live stream of a township meeting, if it was on a different page. So I don't recall. I trust that you do screenshots, obviously. As an admin, we are in a similarly thankless job of trying to moderate so many differing emotions, so many countless debates and discussions and everything. And again, I've said repeatedly up here, I feel that we are neighbors. I apologize for that. If Paul or I did not see that sooner, I don't see it now. I mean, I think we can agree that that's not something I would ever agree with. Paul has enacted just the post-approval, and, we do review these things. We are very mindful about who we were letting onto the page to make sure that the discussions are relatively focused on town. So I apologize. It was disturbing for me back there. I mean, I had people texting me, who was that? I knew immediately who it was, and, I don't think the action of one person who is emotional about the situation should necessarily reflect, I think, the public discourse that page is trying to have for people who aren't able to come to this meeting and just, I think, air things, maybe get their frustrations out. That way, when someone comes here, they are able to speak a little bit more focused with the appropriate type of emotion. But I do apologize because clearly I wouldn't want somebody, I do share my address when I'm up here, but I appreciate the concern that
I will
gives.
tell you, thank you very much. And as public servants, you know what, we're up here, but we're not punching bags either. And a lot of people, you know what, there's one gentleman in this community who's also on that site. He has slandered me, harassed me, you know what, libeled me, okay, defamed me, and cyberbullied me. But you know what, I'm still here. But just don't come after my family. And I think everybody knows who I'm talking about when I say that. I don't need to mention his name. Thank you very much.
Charles Rubin. I'm
Hi,
just
Charles.
concerned with the increase in crime in Livingston. It's all over, but I'm living in Livingston, so I'm concerned with the stealing of the cars. I think you should consider an ordinance to fine people who leave the cars unlocked, key fobs inside, causes police, a large amount of police work that could have been avoided if people had any common sense. You see it in the Livingston newspaper every week, and people don't get the message. I don't understand it. And now they're even breaking into the homes to get the key fobs. It's getting worse.
I think that was the most craziest invention was those key fobs. It's crazy. You know it.
So I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And,
So, but it's not a bad idea. I don't know whether legally we can do something about that, but I'll talk to the lawyer and Mr. Cantor, and I know the police chief is really, we're trying to put out some statements saying, don't leave the key fob in the car. It's like
it's getting out of hand. It's
but now I
ridiculous.
understand. Now I understand that they could actually mirror the key fob. They just have to drive up to your house, and they could actually mirror the key fob with technology.
Coming into people's homes at 5:45 in the morning while they're sleeping to get the key fob. This is bad.
Yeah. So, but thank you. Mr. Devlin?
As I've mentioned before, I've been a longtime resident of Livingston, and ever since the town center was built, people have said, the people who approved that didn't know what they were doing, and well, someone made a lot of money off of that monstrosity. And now the people of Livingston are stuck with it. Sadly, this town council put even fewer restrictions on the plan that they approved tonight. And we still don't know why you were willing to weren't willing to put reasonable limitations on Mr. Schwartz's plan. Well, tonight you made the developer and the property owner of 45 South Livingston Avenue very wealthy, but you have failed the taxpayers of Livingston. Ms. Begoli, I wrote in my email to you that I know all of our town council members belong to the same political party and are speaking with one voice on this, but that is a problem when making a decision that will have such a profound impact on downtown Livingston. And you responded, we are one town, not a faction of party lines. I share your commitment to making well-informed decisions that align with the best interest of Livingston residents, and I thank you for responding. To be clear, I was not slighting the Democratic Party. It would be the same if we had an entire Republican council. There is no dissent. There is no questioning of the plan. Somebody should be asking, why did we zone areas for redevelopment if we were opening a can of worms? Why not just a rezone of this area? Mr. Vieira, you keep saying that if we don't approve this bad deal, someone is going to come in and demand something worse. Then why did our township manager and legal counsel put us in this position? And what could we have done to protect us? It is clear to me that there is no plan for managing the increased population, that we already have 819 units, which people, this is in addition to that now, okay? But without a dissenting voice, you all trust what you are being told and ignore the voices of your citizens. In addition, the fact that I could write to the town manager and the mayor on November 11th with a reasonable request for a list of the current approved projects in Livingston and not receive a response after 4 emails shows the lack of concern and respect that comes from elected and appointed officials who know their party has a lock on elections. Ms. Begoli, I'm not trying to cause political factions, but if you were raised by Democrats like I was, you were probably told the Democratic Party stands up for the little guy, the laborers, and the middle class. But that is not the case tonight. For reasons only you know, the Democratic Party tonight wouldn't even put those reasonable restrictions on the developer, and the taxpayers are the ones who will suffer. Hopefully the people of Livingston will realize that you are not the ones who represent their interest and that we need a change. I'm sure some of you are contemptuously sitting there thinking, that's not going to happen. As long as you've got a D next to your name during elections, you're pretty good. But we have spoken, and we feel unheard. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone?
I just want to say something. For the past 2 meetings, I've been sitting here getting called out, and I have been listening to the residents, and as you said, I did respond to you. I don't know if it's because I'm the new member on the council. I would hope that it's because you thought that maybe I could support it. You were thinking for a different idea or a different voice, and this is the reason why my name keeps coming up. But I did. The one person who responded to you. Oh, okay, because for the past 2 meetings, I've been sitting here in residents, some residents even wrote me and said, I'm disappointed. I'm sorry if you feel that my decision tonight, as someone said, you vote your conscience, right? If you feel that my decision tonight was not one that was favorable, I understand that, I accept that, and I value the opinion of the residents that, and I actually support the residents that have come out so vehemently to tell us how you feel. And I think I have taken the time to listen and to respond. That doesn't mean that we're always going to agree. That doesn't mean that I get to be called names, and that doesn't mean that I get to be treated in a way that's disrespectful. So, no, I did not think you were. I don't. But I'm wondering why my name for the past 2 meetings is the only one that comes up when I sit here with 4 other members. Not that I'm saying that you should come after the other members.
My simple point was, there was no, maybe there is behind the doors here. But this plan does not fit anything that's down in that area. All that is why.
I hear you. I think I've responded, and I think I have listened. And I respect and value your opinions. Then that your opinions are outside of what I believe is a Republican opinion or a Democratic opinion. We're all residents. And as I said to another resident tonight, you may not agree with me in the decisions I make, but believe me, if you were in trouble, I would run for you, and I know you would run for me, because that's what we do here in this town. That's what we do for each other, but we're not always going to agree.
Mr. Devlin, you know what, on November 11th, you referenced that you sent me an email. You CC'd me along with Adam Lerner, Rush Jones, myself. It was to Barry Lewis, and you start off, "Dear Mr. Lewis." That letter was not to me. Okay. So you said that I did not answer you. You said that I did not answer you.
On my 3 subsequent responses,
Okay.
and I feel like
You started it, "Dear Mr. Lewis."
Okay. Nobody responded to me, and nobody said to Mr.
You didn't ask me
Lewis,
to.
maybe you should respond to him. That's kind of that's disrespectful.
You didn't ask me to, so just let's get it straight. You did not send that email to me. It was to Mr. Lewis. You CC'd me.
As mayor of the town, do you think it's acceptable that
You
your town
CC'd me.
manager does not
You just
respond?
said that I did not receive, I did not respond to you.
Well,
Okay,
then, to
that
be
letter was
clear,
not
your
to
initial
me.
email, I did respond to in almost a 2-page email.
Yes.
Spent my time looking up a number of things that you asked me to do. You sent a follow-up one with more questions, more things for me to go research and dig into things that, when you sent it, I was away. And the matters, every one of those ordinances are public records. There's a limit to how much I can, I'm not a research assistant that I have enough time to go pull out 8 different ordinances, go look up the height of everything, the number of, everything you asked me for. I mean,
I asked you just to list the 8 projects and what their address was that you had already referenced, their height and their density. And you didn't even have the decency to say, "Mr. Devlin, that's not my job. Please go look here." You didn't do that. You
okay,
just
well,
go
again,
look.
when you sent it, I was away, and regardless,
That's
okay.
not the way anybody
Okay,
did.
thank you.
And ask for clarification.
Hold on, before we change the subject, just real quick. I just want to, Mr. Devlin, I just for the record, I never got an email from you, so that's why I didn't respond. Okay, thank you.
So, Gene, hold on a second. I'll let you speak last because you've already spoken.
No, I just think this is important because I kept hearing the word redevelopment. I want to make sure you're not giving a pilot here, because pilots are.
We're not talking about any pilots. This is,
Very good, thank you. I wanted to clarify that.
Bob, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Mayor. How are you?
Good.
Good. Sorry you have to go through this,
That's
all
okay.
of you. And I appreciate all of your efforts, the time you put in, et cetera, et cetera. Anyhow, one of the things that I wanted to speak about, something has bothered me tonight from both sides. I almost get the impression that people are saying that Livingston is like an inferior town, and we have to pattern ourselves after all these other magnificent towns surrounding us. I'm talking in regards to this development, putting that aside. And the way I see it, our town is superior to every town around us, okay? In so many ways, whether it be education or coming together as a community. And one thing I like to talk about is on Inauguration Day. I try to get there every January 1st. I don't know how many people in the audience is aware of this, but there's a pamphlet that's given out to all the people who attend Inauguration Day. And in that pamphlet is a list of committees, volunteer committees in this town. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of volunteers in this town, okay? And I dare any other town around us to compare themselves to this town. We are a true community that comes together. And as the chairman of the Livingston Advisory Committee for Disabilities, I have spoken over the years with a number of people from other towns, and it's mind-boggling that these towns offer nothing to their citizens in the way in reference to helping people with special needs. I mean, it's just disgraceful, really, in plain English. You know, they come to us for guidance. In this day and age, it's hard for me to believe that. So the bottom line is, we should be proud of this town. I'm very proud of this town, and I will never, ever leave this town, okay? And we need to look at the positive, you know, and it's good to debate this stuff, you know, with the development, and there are two sides, and I see the other side, you know, there is benefit, but we should be proud and hold our heads up high. And it hurts me when you guys get, you know, to listen to the, you know, personal attacks on you guys. That to me is just, I'm sorry, but it's disgraceful. You know, we're better than that, you know, and I just don't understand stuff like that.
Thank you.
And God knows what that could lead to. Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Bob, why don't you give 2 seconds? You have we've received an email from you today, December 16th at the Camuso display. Why don't you give a shout out? You have the LACD over at the Camuso display.
Yeah.
You know, you remember the time? It was, I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the Livingston Advisory Committee for Disabilities, in conjunction with the Camuso Committee, is holding a special event on the night of, or late afternoon of December 16th. It's a Saturday, and it's for special, people with special needs and their families. And the rain day will be December 18th. Rain or snow day will be the 18th, and it's obviously at the Camuso display, which is at the gazebo at the Oval. And it's a free event. Santa Claus will be there. People are welcome to, meet Santa Claus, take as many pictures as they want. All special needs folks will receive a present, and there will also be free refreshments. And I welcome everybody to come stop by, say hello to Santa Claus.
4:30 to 6:30, correct?
4:30 to 6:30, December 16th.
Thank you,
Mayor,
Bob.
can I say-
At the gazebo.
Bob, before you sit down, so I just want to let you know that you are the heart of what makes this town great. I want to, before you sit down.
100%.
What you do on a daily basis, I don't know if you remember, about 6, 7, 8 years ago on January 1st, I called you out in my speech, and I called you Santa Bob, okay?
I do remember,
You remember
actually.
that, Bob?
I appreciated that.
Because
Thank
I have
you.
a picture of me sitting on your lap. At the LACD holiday party. I don't know if you remember that. We have a picture together.
Yeah.
What you do.
I think Al's jealous, by the way.
Okay, Al can go next year. But
I sat on his lap this year.
But Bob, all kidding, all seriously, what you do every day of the year for kids with special needs and kids who are less fortunate and their families is truly, truly God's work. And I thank you on behalf of this town for everything that you do.
Thank you very much, Ed. I appreciate that, and I feel very fortunate to be in a position where I can do that, because I love doing it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it,
Thank you, Bob.
But this town is full of people who want to give back, and I want to mention the kids. I mean, these kids are a good example. Well, we have so many kids who volunteer with our committee. And, the craziness is, after they finish at an event volunteering, they thank us for the opportunity. I mean, like each and every time. I'm taken back every time this happens. we should be thanking them. And of course, we do thank them.
Thank you.
My car got broken into and I didn't leave the keys in the car. Okay, so when the gentleman, he suggested you sue, you find a lawyer, whatever, you're gonna have a problem when all these new units come up. Another thing, what if I wanted to extend my house? Are you guys gonna give me a hard time? Or can I use the excuse that you gave that I can sue too? So it's gonna create a precedent too, because when you go to DOB to pull a permit, you guys give a lot of people a hard time. Not you personally, I'm just giving in general, okay? So, this is, I think it's gonna create another precedent for people to say, well, you gave that permission, then, are you gonna give me a hard time too? So, I don't know.
May I have your name again for the record, please?
Why?
Because I don't have it from before.
Okay, I don't know, I feel.
We don't need your address, just a name.
Okay, Maria. Okay.
Is there anybody else that'd like to give? Okay, may I have a motion? I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, do you have any written comments?
Yes, Mayor, I do. I received two. There were two comments received on non-agenda items, and the first one is from Kathy Chung. It reads, "Good afternoon. Is there any updates that can be shared regarding the ongoing lawsuit of Officer Mullaney? I have known Kevin for over 10 years from him coaching the township team, the Aquajet, and the many community services he has provided to Livingston throughout the years. His dedication to the town should be applauded. I am hoping that there will be an amicable resolution soon. Thank you." The second one is from Linda Necker. She says, "Hi, I hope this question will not be saved for last like another past letter that was read. I'm appalled at how this Kevin Mullaney situation is not being addressed to the town. What is going on? Where is the reprimand? And what is the resolution?" Linda Necker.
Thank you. Is there any other ones? No. May I have a motion to
motion to
close?
close.
There's a motion. May I have a second? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? So at this time, we're at the reports of township officials. Before we do it, thank you, Andy. Again, Andy Munns does our AV and our recording support, so thank you, Andy. Barry, anything? Your microphone is off.
Yeah, given the hour, mine can wait. I don't have anything
Thank
beyond
you.
what we did. Thank you.
Russ, anything?
Not for tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Adam, anything?
Not for tonight, thank you.
Carolyn, anything?
Nothing for me, Mayor, thank you.
Jared, anything?
Mayor, just something quickly. I just want to clear up just some confusion on social media regarding the planning board members and the fact that Mr. Lewis and our CFO sits on the planning board. Not only does our township code provide for it, but NJSA 40:55D-23, which is the planning board statute, provides our Class 1 member in a council manager form of government is to be the manager. So not only does our code provide for it, but the statute provides for it, and there's no residency requirement for our manager to sit as our manager. And our Class 2 official, not only by our code, but by the state statute, again, that I cited earlier, is one of the officials of the municipality other than a member of the governing body. Again, it's not meant to be a resident, it's meant to be an official municipality. So Mr. Lewis and Ms. Cucci's presence on the planning board is not only proper, but it's supported by state law and our Livingston Code.
Thank you. We're at council comments. Councilmember Ed Meinhardt, do you have anything to add?
Thank you. Just a couple more things. I know that this Saturday, I believe, is the opening of the Camuso exhibit, and I just want to give a couple of shout-outs, obviously, to all the elves to do all this great work. And in the back of the room, we have Tim Foley, who's not only one of the elves, but also one of our great volunteer firemen. So, Tim, thank you very much for all that you do for this town as well. And I also just want to thank the LPD officers who are here this evening for keeping us safe for not only tonight, but for all throughout the year as well. Thank you for spending your evening with us.
Thank you. Councilwoman Begoli?
I'm going to echo that sentiment of thanking our police department. Not only have they come to our homes and protected our families and our children when we have felt the need, standing here tonight protecting us and every resident in our town, we owe them a debt of gratitude every single day, so I thank them. To all the families who have families in Israel, I do want to mention the return of some of the hostages, and I hope that they can find some solace in those returns tonight, especially those of us who have been mourning and hurting with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Deputy Mayor?
Just echoing, thank you, LPD, for being here and always for everyone in our town. You do a great job. And same as Ed said, Camuso is coming again, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever. And thank you for all the elves that work on it all the time, tirelessly. Thanks.
So again, I'm going to just echo what my council members had said, and we have a great police department. We really do. They work very hard for all the residents, and also to echo what Bob had said earlier. You know, our volunteer fire department, excellent. We have our first aid. We have our auxiliary police officers. You know what? Second to none, and they're all volunteers, and you know, we all have to be thankful for them. They save our town a lot of money, and they really do. Just a little bit more about the Camuso display. There's been a lot of people working to get this set up. So this Saturday, December 5th, at the gazebo, starting at 6:30, there'll be dancers, a bounce house for the kids, a trackless train for the kids, holiday carolers, some hot chocolate, and the switching on of the Camuso display lights. And of course, Tim Foley in the back of the room is a very integral part. The only thing that I learned last year, I didn't make the mistake this year, is when we're carrying the Christmas tree, do not stand next to Tim because he's a lot bigger than me, and my hands were raising in the air trying to carry that tree. But I learned my lesson this year, didn't I, Tim? So, thank you very much. At this time, we are not going back to conference because we finished conference. We're not going back to executive. So may I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much.